Tonight on the Black Channel. I know there's a lot going on in the world, and some people might wonder why I want to cover this, but I'll need to cover this for a reason. For those of you who may not have been aware, of course, I'm pretty sure you've all heard of the viral sensation known as Mr. Tendernism. Mr. Tendernism, who has been a triumph of guerrilla marketing, a triumph of internet marketing. So much you can learn from it, and so much you can learn as a result. However, recently, things took and hit a rather sour note. What happened was the food YouTuber, blogger, Keith Lee came to town. He came to town and he did a review of their establishment called Destination Smokehouse. And this not only exposed some things, it put a renewed interest on others. So what I want to do here is I'm going to play for you Keith Lee's review so you can hear what it was that set this off, and then we're going to show you what comes after that.
My opinion is the most anticipated video I've ever done. In my hand is food from Destination Smokehouse, with the Tenderism. My whole mission today to see, in my opinion, is the food actually Tenderism, or do I just love watching Unk? Let's find out together. I got it, let's try it, and rate it 1 through 10. We spent $129.77. The customer service my family said was very good. This food was quick. It only took us 10 minutes to get it. And Unk is here. But Unk walk around with 4 different security guards, which I fully understand because people probably bombarding him non-stop. So I'm going to show you everything I got, and we're going to try it and rate it 1 through 10. Holiday yams, mac and cheese, coleslaw, 2 orders of Texas toast, 4 sides of barbecue sauce, and a 3-meat plate. I got a beef rib, some oxtail, and some brisket. We're going to start with what I came here for, the beef rib. I didn't touch it, I didn't do nothing. This is how it came. To me, it looked like it's sliced. It looked like they slit it straight down the back. So when I pick it up,
it's already on. That's
what happened. I'm going to pick it up and see if it fall off the bone. Well, there ain't no bone in here. I'm going to just see if it fall apart. It do not.
Oh, yeah.
This thing ain't going nowhere. The most important is how it tastes.
Okay, so that would seem to be a radical bit different from what went viral. That would seem to be a little bit of a difference from what people have expected from what they saw going viral. Was it sliced? Because now when you go back and look at the videos, by the way, of him picking it up, it takes on a different meaning, because it's like, well, now that you look at it, did the meat fall off the bone or was it already pre-cut? So, oh boy, this is like seeing David Copperfield set up, his tricks. It's like seeing David Copperfield do that. So that part right there got some folks like, all right, well, the tendernism seems like tender splitting.
Straight down the back. So when I pick it up,
it's already on.
That's what happened. I'm going to pick it up and see if it fall off the bone. Well, there ain't no bone in here. I'm going to just see if it fall apart. It do not.
Oh, yeah.
This thing ain't going nowhere. The most important is how it tastes. Let's see. It's very smoky. I think it could definitely be more salt added to this. But right now, I just taste smoke and a lot of peppercorns, which is a very good plus. It's juicy. You can see it's all on my beard. It's all on my lips. Top of there. That barbecue sauce is sweet, and I think exactly that's what it needs. Again, a little more salt would take this a long way. But as is, I'm at a 7.5 out of 10. This might be the tenderisms that we were talking about. This oxtail. It's tender now. Now that's tender. That's the meat.
Okay, we got something falling off.
Now, if I had glasses, I'm throwing the glasses on the floor. That is delicious. Fantastic, man. Actually, tender, juicy, peppery, smoky, salty. That might be the best oxtail I've ever had. It's top 3 and it ain't 3. I'm supposed to be tasting. I'm on my 3rd bite.
I'm trying to get it together.
Delicious. For me, personally, 9.7 out of 10.
It's the peppery. Good. And this is tender. I'm going with a 9.5.
All right, that's the brisket. It ain't going nowhere. Oh, there we go. A little bit of pull action. This is extremely over-seasoned, in my opinion, when it comes from not only a sodium level, but also a flavor level. That's a decent brisket, in my opinion. 6.5 out of 10. This nigga from Texas. I got somebody from Texas with me. He's trying to understand.
All right, that's a juice, please.
Hairline.
8-7.
This mac and cheese. I don't know if this is oil or if this is a lighting, but
Butter starts separating from the noodle.
the cheese completely separated and almost curdled. I don't know what noodle that is. This is the noodle. Not a fan.
Okay, I hope it's not some gluten-free mac. What? I hope it's not that, but yeah, okay, that went south. It's like, okay, now you got to look in the kitchen and see who's actually preparing things, because if the mac and cheese ain't done right, it's like, let me take a peek back there and see who's cooking. Is that Karen back there?
And at all. Okay, this the yam. Okay, now that's
Tender.
sweet, cinnamon, a lot of spices and flavors. 8 out of 10. For me, the standout is absolutely the oxtail. But past the oxtail, the standout is unk. Not only in my opinion is it extremely hard to get people engaged like that, to show your true personality, to be yourself, no matter how fast things take off in the space. I don't think he intended for it to go the way it's going. I think he just wants to show his love of food and his love of what it is that he's doing. I'm personally taking $5,000 out of my own bank. And
By the way, back there in the background there,
no matter
over there on
how
the right,
fast
you'll see a white female over here on the right, and take a look at the way she's smiling.
things take off in the space. I don't think he intended for it to go the way it's going. I think he just wants to show his love of food and his.
So you see the way she's smiling? Looks like she recognizes Keith. He's pretty well known. It's like, looks like she recognizes this is a moment here.
Love of what it is that he's doing. I'm personally taking $5,000 out of my own bank, and we going to say happy holidays to
So, update. We could not get to Unc. Security said it was over with for the day. They said that he was filming something. I believe he was filming a podcast. We had $5,000 in cash, or $4,000 in cash that we was going to give him a hand. They didn't take it, so we're not only going to take this money and feed some people, but we just going to do what we feel like we're supposed to do in the community.
And as always, after this, I pray and hope that they continue to reach their target.
Okay, so that last part right there got a whole bunch of folks feeling some kind of way. It had a whole bunch of people feeling some kind of way about that last part. And then they got them to asking questions. It got them to asking questions actually that had already been addressed, but what it did was it put a spotlight on it, because a lot of people have been passing these things around. They've been passing them around. They've been passing this gentleman around and showing him. But in reality, there was another level to it. Now, we can't say it's new. We can't say it's exposed. We can't really do that, because that would just be dishonest. To be totally in all candor with you, that would just be totally dishonest. Because case in point, when you go on their Instagram, meet the Armenian owner behind Viral Destination Smokehouse. But when you go on their Instagram, he's been there most of the whole time. So it's not like he's been hiding in a closet somewhere. He hasn't been doing that. I mean, he's at Buc-ee's, for goodness sake. So he's been out there. He's been around. He's shown up. I think a whole bunch of people got offended by the Keith Lee incident. And as a result, then they went looking. They didn't take a look at dates or anything. They were just looking for something to go at him about, which I can understand, but he wasn't hiding. It wasn't like he was doing that. So there's the real issue about that. So if folks are looking for something, I want you to let you know, you're going to have to do a little bit better than that. It wasn't like he was hiding. It wasn't like, okay, he put Walter is his name. Walter Johnson. It wasn't like he put Walter Johnson out there and he was hiding behind it like, KFC or something. All right. So it didn't go very well. Folks got on their bumper about it. People were very, very upset. They were trying to figure out what do they do about that. So they decided to go ahead and try to address this. Of all the people that they could have contacted or gone to, of all the people that they went to Silly Willie D.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
Yeah, you all know Buck Dancing Willie D. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Joe Rogan's favorite flunky, of course, and his favorite white supremacist apologist is. So here they knew where to go. Let's go to Willie D. Let's go to Willie D. We're going to go there because, of course, how could it possibly go wrong after that? So they went on Willie D's program. He wanted to mumble his way through some questions, and they wanted to address what happened. I'm trying to get my marks together for it, but they want to address what happened. I'm going to play some of it. By the way, fair use, Willie. Fair use. And if you need some help spelling fair use, let me know. I'll see if I can get somebody to assist you.
I was not notified that he was here.
You guys know who Keith Lee was before he showed up at the door.
I'll let you go first, sir. No, I did not know who he was. And at the time, I was not notified that he was here because I don't be on the internet. Like I said, I'm the old gentleman. I mean, hey, it is what it is. But I do not be on it that much to know he was a food critic. And now he can come back up here and we can meet person to person. You know, it's cool in the game. But no, I did not know who he was. No disrespect to him. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now.
Yeah, like a lot of you, I noticed that, you know, the Armenian fella gave him permission to speak first. That's shows that by default, Mr. Johnson shows deference. So I noticed that as well.
Well, I was kind of shocked when I found out. The way I found out was at the end of the podcast we were doing with Idi Amin. You know him from the Outlaws?
Absolutely. That's my boy. That's my dog.
Cool. So really solid. We were like 3 weeks out from planning it, and a lot of hiccups happened. We were so late in the day, but when we were doing it, we were just totally locked in. So I found out at the end of it was only 30 minutes too. It was a 30-minute podcast. Mm-hmm. So at the end, our head of security / host, Josh, came over. He's like, hey, Nick, man, it's like some guy came and he was trying to meet Walt to give him a $5,000 tip. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird because we've had like streamers come in, trying to like come in and get weird content. So we love the exposure, but we don't need weird exposure. So he took it and he didn't know. That was another shocking thing. Me, my friend Walter French, who was off camera, and then one lady who was working that day are the only 3 people in the restaurant who knew who he was. And I was in shock. I didn't even know it was Keith Lee until like 15 minutes after I heard about the tip. So as soon as I got the idea, I started messaging him and I went out into the parking lot trying to find him. I was hoping he was going to be at our restaurant when we were in Hemet in our original location. I know who he is. I'm a food guy and I'm on the internet all the time. I do all our social media, so I'm well aware. And it would have been a great boost to us in Hemet, you know?
Okay, so I guess he's talking about the previous location that they were at or whatever. So I don't know if he's harboring animosities because Keith didn't stop through. I mean, there's literally tens of thousands of restaurants in America. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Keith did not single you out.
I figured he just never came because the level that we're at now, he likes to help out businesses that need more exposure, you know? So, but I would have been, if I would have known he was here, I would have probably asked Edie to stop for a few seconds so we could go over there. That's what I would have done. But ever since I reached out to him, I've gotten zero response. I thought I was very respectful. From what I've watched from the review, it just didn't seem like he really captured what it's like when you come to this place. It's just disappointing that as popular as people can be on social media, people don't know everybody. You know, I'm in shock. We just went to Dallas. And you have to see it in person. Everybody came up to Walt. Not everybody knew who he was, but so many people came up to him. So there is this line where you're really well known, but it's possible some people don't know you. But
okay, so there are lessons to be learned there as well. What do you do when that happens? What do you do when you got an employee, which is what Mr. Johnson is? We'll get to that in a few moments. What do you do when you got an employee who eclipses the business itself? What do you do then? Which is really the conversation that has gotten started. Now, when he's talking about, you know, he didn't really think that Keith Lee, you know, really, you know, covered the restaurant and what goes on in it and stuff. Keith is not there to do a documentary. He's there to review the food. He did it the way he as far as I know, usually does. I'm going to say Keith pretty much usually is in his car or something like that. He's not really usually walking around doing a mini documentary. He's not there to promote your business. He's there to focus on the food in an impartial way, at least to the ability that he can, that he's trying to give an impartial analysis. So he's not really sitting in the restaurant. He wants to be by himself so that there's no pressure or anything, and he can say exactly what he thinks, good, bad, or otherwise. But he's not there to be an advertisement for your restaurant or to give people a miniature commercial for it, which is what the food critics should be doing. You know, no favor, no fear. So that's not a problem. But I wanted you all to see that happened here. I want you to see how that happened and how that went. Now, I want to play a little bit more of this. I want to play just a little bit more because I want you to hear when Walter starts. I want you to hear when Walter starts talking again, because Walter's going to talk about the idea that he's being taken advantage of, that he's being mistreated or taken advantage of by the good folks at Destination Smokehouse.
We would love for him to come back, and we're really pleased with the review he gave of the oxtail. And yeah, sorry, brother.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, look here, Mr. Willis. That's what we need to do. We need to set up a podcast. He's sitting in with us. Then that way we can clear all this stuff up. Like I am, in a sense, a little older than you. A little bit, not much now. And so, you know, hey, I want to get it in over. Let don't be candy coated. Let's just sit down, gentlemen conversation, you know, drink some Kool-Aid, something together, and we eat some of these oxtail. And then we talk about this here, because just misunderstanding. It's 2026. We gonna clear everything. Now, in back, I want to let y'all know something. I live too long, somebody taking advantage of me. That part of taking advantage of me, there's a lot of things people can do in life. That's not something we do here at Destination.
Now, by the way, do you see how he kind of shoehorned that in there? 1 minute he's talking about Keith Lee and them, hey, they can sit down and have some Kool-Aid. I wonder if it'll be grape or red. What? But and then he segues from that into, and let me tell you something about folk taking advantage of me, and I'm just wondering, did he make that detour in thought on his own? Or remember, the owner is telling you that there are other people in the room. There are other people in the room. So did they signal him that, hey, by the way, you need to address this issue before we get off of here? We need to make sure that we address this idea that the white man who owns the place is taking advantage of you. So make sure you don't leave that out. So he went straight from Keith Lee, and then he swerves off into, and by the way, I'm too old to be getting took advantage of, and this, that, and the other. So I don't know. To me, that seemed just a little unnatural. So could be misreading it, but to me, that just that doesn't really just link up naturally together, in my opinion.
Let don't be candy coated. Let's just sit down, gentlemen conversation, you know, drink some Kool-Aid, something together, and we eat some of these oxtail. And then we talk about this here, because just misunderstanding. It's 2026. We gonna clear everything. Now, in back, I want to let y'all know something. I live too long, somebody taking advantage of me. That part of taking advantage of me, there's a lot of things people can do in life. That's not something we do here at Destination. This is one in the nation.
Yes, sir.
I remember just like these the same two people on this podcast right now is the same two people know something about Destination. But see, the media just get off and run with the negative stuff, and I tell him all the time, don't be feeding into that negativity, because they ain't not just somebody trying to push it.
That part right there. Now, that was the thing right there. I'm going to say this as diplomatically as I can. I am going to say this as respectfully and yet diplomatically and yet bluntly as I can. All I can say is what that part right there gives me heavy. You know now, Mr. Ann, you is smart and you is kind and you is precious. I be telling my little young white kids that I'm not going to try to cast aspersions of what the intention is there, but I'm just saying that kind of mannerism right there. When I saw that, that's when I was like, okay, waiter, check please. Check please. Once again, I'm not casting aspersions upon the owner of the establishment. We're going to get into a little bit more about him in a moment here. And you've heard a lot of innuendos and stuff on the internet. I'm just like, by the way, you didn't have to do that. If some of these people would have just stopped and read, they could have gotten some reliable, actual information. It wouldn't be very hard to do so because it's not like he's been hiding it. But that part right there was the part that got me.
People can do in life. That's not something we do here at Destination. This is one in the nation.
Yes, sir.
I remember just like the same two people on this podcast right now is the same two people know something about Destination. But see, the media just get off and run with the negative stuff, and I tell him all the time, don't be feeding into that negativity, because there ain't nothing, just somebody trying to push, divide and conquer. We doing what we do. We love doing it. I love eating. I like to eat. Yeah, so to that, negative. And so people should just be happy for all of us. Even you come on down and kick it. We all sit down.
So I'm very glad that he's very amenable to what is going on there. I would like to advise you all and remind you all again that you don't know these people. You don't know these rappers. I've met these people. You don't know these rappers. You don't know these movie celebrities. You don't know these athletes. You don't know these people who go viral. You don't know them. So I advise everyone not to jump to conclusions simply because they may remind you of your granddaddy. They might remind you of Big Papa. They might remind you of somebody in the family. And I understand that, which is why he went viral, because all of us have had somebody in the family like that is very familiar to us. That's very specific to our experience and very familiar to us, which is why it went viral in the first place, because it taps into something that we recognize immediately. But a lot of folks would be well advised to be careful about some of those things. Now, I want to go into something else here. Because I want to show you something here. A lot of folks were talking about this and they're making videos, and in some cases they are hideously inaccurate, or at the very least it doesn't have any substantiation behind it. Now, this is from Destination Smokehouse's Instagram page, and you see this post right here. And I think that's shared from elsewhere. And you can see where it says, meet the Armenian owner behind viral Destination Smokehouse, home of Tendernism movement. Why is him being Armenian so important? Why did the person who wrote the article want to point that out? I don't know. Maybe it's because, yeah. Now let me point out a couple of things here. You see what it says here. Nick Yepremian, owner / pitmaster. So Nicholas Yepremian got his flags up, and owner / pitmaster. So I wanted to show you all, I'm not skipping through things. I'm not making it up. This is directly from their Instagram. This Zartonk, he shared this, so I'm assuming that the details of it are accurate, because the owner of Destination Smokehouse, not Mr. Johnson on the screen, but the actual owner, shared this. So I'm going to assume that this is accurate, at least as far as he's concerned. And that's why I want to share it with you all. Now, this is back from January 5th, so almost 2 weeks ago. If you've ever spent even 5 minutes on TikTok, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts lately, chances are you've heard the word Tendernism. It's become one of the internet's biggest food-driven catchphrases. Well, yes, because regardless of Mr. Johnson's background or whatever, that's tapping into a specific cultural mannerism that we developed, a deliberate corruption of a term or a phrase specifically because it's deliberately done, because that's what makes it funny. It's meant, that's why we have done this now for centuries. It's a deliberate corruption of it. Not that we're ignorant of it. We know exactly what it is. We're making our own adoption of it. We've done this with so many phrases throughout the centuries. And particularly in the South, that's a mannerism that we developed. Yes, we know what the correct pronunciation of it is. What we're letting you know is that we're putting our stamp on this. So this is our way of marking cultural territory. We're putting our stamp on it. It's not tenderness, it's tendernism. So that's one of the things that we do. You go take a look at songs from Rick James. You go take a look at songs from James Brown. You take a look at songs from Little Richard, Ray Charles. So this is one of our cultural landmarks right there, which is why we all immediately recognized it. It's become one of the internet's biggest food-driven catchphrases, and according to a recent Forbes piece, hope it wasn't purchased, the trend didn't just go viral, it turned into a full-on cultural movement in 2025, spreading far beyond barbecue into everyday slang and storytelling. At the center of it all is a Southern California smokehouse that has become a must-visit destination, and many people don't realize it's founded and operated by an Armenian entrepreneur. So they wanted to make sure that you understood that if you were under any misnomers or misconceptions that the fella you saw going viral was the owner, no, that is not the case. So they're making a point here to highlight that. That business is Destination Smokehouse and Eatery, and it's run by Nicholas Yepremian, the Armenian owner and pitmaster behind the brand that's now widely associated with Tendernism. From a family coffee shop to a viral smokehouse, Destination Smokehouse's story started humbly. What? Okay. It started humbly, beginning as a family coffee shop opened in Hemet, California in 2016. So they've barely been 10 years old. In January 2019, Nicholas Yepremian took over, expanded the menu, and began evolving the business into a full restaurant experience. Then came the turning point. In early 2020, Walter Johnson, a chef known today by fans as Mr. Tendernism, joined the operation. This is in 2020, middle of the pandemic. He joined the operation and helped introduce the concept that would reshape the entire business. The reason I bring that up here, folks, is that from the way what you just saw in there a few moments ago, that was why that stuck out to me. There's a reason why that stuck out to me when he was doing all this, because that would make, from the way you acted, you'd think they were childhood friends or something. And unfortunately, I have to be brutally honest, we've all witnessed a certain number of elderly black folk. We've all seen this when they work at the white stores, when they work at the white warehouse, and you would think that he's known Nicholas since Nicholas was a child, because he just pointed out about his age. You would think that he's got that kind of, legacy or relationship. You think that was the case. And no, that's actually not. So he's barely been there 5 years. So in early 2020, Walter Johnson, a chef known today by fans as Mr. Tendernism, joined the operation and helped introduce the concept that would reshape the entire business. Yeah, because y'all had beef, but you didn't have marketing. Barbecue. Let me just go ahead and say that again. He helped introduce the concept that would reshape the entire business. Barbecue. I want to remind you, I had some folk telling me that, it's like barbecue is dying. It's like barbecue is dying out. It's not dying out. It's that there's the folks who really know how to do it. That number has gone down because barbecuing is an art. Anybody can make steak. Barbecuing is an art. As the pandemic disrupted normal operations, the team simplified the menu and began hosting barbecue-focused events. which quickly drew crowds and created momentum that never slowed down. The advantage of barbecue, of course, is during the pandemic, they didn't want folks indoors in California, even though Gavin Newsom was perfectly fine indoors with his friends at the restaurant. But barbecue can be done outdoors, so you didn't have some of the distancing issues, keeping distance between folks from being contagious. How Tendernism became a movement. Tendernism began as a fun, hyper-specific way of describing the tenderness of perfectly smoked meat, but it became unforgettable because it wasn't just said, it was proven on camera. Brisket breaking apart effortlessly. I think we already covered that one. Oxtail sliding off the bone. Well, there's some truth to that one. Beef ribs moving like silk. That visual reaction, paired with Walter Johnson's expressive delivery, turned the word into a signature moment that the internet couldn't stop remixing. As the trend grew, fans started calling Destination Smokehouse the Tendernism capital of the world. Okay, is that what fans said, or all right? And food creators began traveling hours just to experience it for themselves. Today, Destination Smokehouse's menu reflects the kind of bold, indulgent comfort that thrives online. So you get the idea there. An Armenian success story in the heart of Southern California. While tendernism has become a global internet phrase, the foundation of Destination Smokehouse's rise remains simple. Strong vision, consistency, and an obsession with quality. Nicholas Yarpremian has publicly identified himself as the business's owner and pit master. So I'm telling you all, this isn't something that just came up in the last 7 days. This isn't something that just came up in the last 10 days. This is something that's come up way before that. He wants to make it clear that his employee from the last 5 years is not the owner and operator, he is. And the restaurant's origin story is rooted in the Yepremian family's hard work and entrepreneurial drive. Never mind the fact that you just acknowledged that it was Walter who said, you know, what you're missing is barbecue. And I can show you how to make the barbecue and how to market it and promote it. So take a look at how quickly they've moved on. With locations serving customers in Murrieta and Hemet, Destination Smokehouse has become one of Southern California's most talked about barbecue destinations, and its viral fame continues to grow. For the Armenian community, it's another reminder of how Armenian-owned businesses continue to make their mark in unexpected industries. Well, yeah, it's unexpected because a black man brought it to you. Yes, it's unexpected because you didn't know that this avenue was there, the avenue to put you on the map. Yes, it was unexpected because you didn't know. This wasn't the Armenian heritage part that did this part. For the Armenian community, it's another reminder of how Armenian-owned businesses, take a look at how many times I said Armenian in 10 seconds, continue to make their mark in unexpected industries, even in spaces traditionally dominated by other cultures.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
It puts this little visual here in a different light now, doesn't it? What happens when you know that you're speaking outside of your culture, but you don't want to acknowledge where you got the game from? Spaces traditionally dominated by other cultures. So in other words, the Armenian part wasn't what sold it. What they are conceding is the Armenian part isn't what sold it. The story of Destination Smokehouse is more than a viral food trend. It's a real entrepreneurial success story happening in real time. And if the internet is right, that's tendernism. I could say to you all many things. I could say to you many things, but I will not. What I will do instead is I will go to their Instagram page, and I would just like to make a point here. You can say Armenian all you want to. You can talk Armenian all you want to. When we take a look on your page, I'm looking at your page here. I'm looking at your page. I'm looking at your page here. I can see what the secret sauce is. I see what it was that blew y'all up. When I take a look at your customer base, when I take a look at the employees that introduced the formula, yeah, dude, it's not an other cultures thing. It really ain't. It's really not like that. That's really not what it is. That's really not what it is. I mean, no hate, no shade, no nothing. That's really not what it is. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't touch on a couple of things here. I'd be remiss if I didn't. I would be remiss if I didn't touch on the fact that, you know, where the Armenians are concerned, particularly in California, and it's no hate. Shout out Kim Kardashian, Robert Kardashian. Shout out all of y'all there, of course. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, as you all know, I covered this in my documentary 8 a.m. I've covered this before, that, by the way, when we did the footwork and we opened up these avenues, and I'm not going to say that everybody is openly hostile or exploitative necessarily in certain ways. I get that. And if y'all want to get an education, go look up the Armenian genocide. You can go check into that and whatnot. So some of these other groups may not be like a lot of the Northern Europeans with some of the white supremacy where that's concerned. However, we've opened up doors and opened up lanes that we don't get to travel in for whatever reason. So in California, remember, I explained to you all that when they started giving out the social justice, social equity, to give out the marijuana licenses, those licenses were supposed to go to the people who had been targeted by the government and by the police. Well, that's us. And yet, when the website opened up to give out the licenses, you had an outrageous number of Armenians. You had an outrageous number of Armenians who ended up gobbling up the licenses. Armenians were not victims of anything in the drug trade or the war on drugs in America, much less California. The Armenians were not subjects or targets of that at all. And what? Damn near half the licenses went to Armenians. I am not here to speak about what is going on in the hearts of certain people. But what I will say is that I do recognize when some folks have a relationship with us that tends to be of a come up nature, that we're a place where they farm ideas, where they farm popularity, where they farm shine. If they can't get a break in white European society, proper white European society, we provide a back door and an avenue to get yourself over the other way. And that tends to be a formula that people use. It's not accidental. It's a formula that they use, that if they need to get hot, if they need to get popping, if they're too square to be able to pull it off, then they call us in. And all of a sudden we figure out how to jazz it up and how to make it marketable and to make it pop, which is what you see over and over again. That's why the Kardashians kept marrying it. What? They needed to get themselves hot. What did they do? Who did they go looking for when the wave was over for them and their family was, no disrespect, Chris, y'all's credit cards were bouncing at the restaurants? I got to remind you all one more time. Kim Kardashian and them, remember, they were getting sued by, what was that, American Express and a bunch of the credit card companies for tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah, they couldn't pay their credit cards. They were on Instagram. They were hanging out with Paris Hilton. They were styling and profiling and had credit card debts. So if you want to know what their credit score was, well, her credit score was nothing a sex video couldn't fix, but I digress. But by the way, for those of you who don't remember, yeah, that was what happened. before they took off. How'd they take off? Oh, well, yeah, let me go ahead and tap in to that foundational energy there. Let me go ahead and tap into that. Next thing you know, Katie, kaboom. So this is a formula that we have observed, and that's why I've taken the time out to remind you all about this over the years. This is a formula that gets used. Now, there's another dimension to the story here, and I also think that it bears some confirmation. I still think it bears some confirmation, so I'm going to tread carefully, but there are folks who are upset because they've taken a look at the trademark office and that there's been an application to trademark the term tendernism. There's been an effort to trademark that. Now, whether that is Mr. Yepremian's business or whatever that has done it, I'm not sure. However, there are folks who are saying that it is. Make of that what you will. Of course, even if you didn't, somebody at the restaurant or establishment needs to trademark the term to protect it. Somebody needs to, certainly, so that makes sense. However, with that being the case, y'all are on the map and became a viral sensation. By the way, let me go ahead and find the other thing I was looking for here because he was running around chasing them there for a minute. Yeah, I want to say this is the one about 1 million views. Yeah, 1 million views on YouTube.
We just hit 1 million views on that video with him in less than 3 months. Tendernism?
What's that dude's name?
Okay. So we make folks hot, things pop off and whatnot. Things pop off and whatnot. And yeah, this is how it goes. Now, I think I've been very fair and balanced here tonight. I'm not casting aspersions upon Yepremian's business. To anybody who was out there under the notion that he was hiding and Walter was just his front person and he didn't want anyone to know he ran the business or owned it, that's just simply false. So all the videos out there trying to give that impression that he was hiding and he didn't want folks to know he owned the place, that's just not true. Just because you didn't investigate those viral videos any deeper or further than you did, that's not really their fault. That's not really their fault. It really isn't. A lot of people made assumptions about it because you developed this vicarious connection to Walter Johnson because he reminded you of some folk in your family, rightfully so. That was the whole hook of it. No problem. But this goes to a deeper issue, which is what I want to point out here tonight. For all the people who have been getting indignant, for all the people who have been getting outraged, for all the people who've been getting upset because you didn't like the way that events may have happened there or after Keith Lee came to the place, here's my issue. My issue is we've seen this before, as a matter of fact. I'm very glad for all the people, particularly of the black females, in particular the black females who have been very vocal about this. They've been very defensive of Walter, even though, as you can tell, he doesn't think he needs any defending. Everything's just great and fine where he is. They've been very, very defensive of that because they took this establishment to heart. They took their connection to Walter Johnson as a character to heart. And that is great and grand and fine and wonderful. However, I sure do wish you would keep that energy for restaurants and establishments that there is no question whether or not they are black owned or not. I really do wish that there would be that type of vigilance and that type of activism when you got black restaurants and establishments. I'm talking about classy ones, not struggling ones. And when we own it, all of a sudden that respect quotient is missing. Case in point. You want to talk about tendernism taking off? Well, Walter Johnson got hired during the pandemic. Well, you know what? Something else happened during the pandemic too. Do you all remember this restaurant, True Kitchen, in Dallas, Texas?
A Texas restaurant owner is responding after video of him yelling at customers went viral.
All this twerking, take it to crime, take it to pink. Don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. If you want to do it, get the f*** out my restaurant because I did it for our people and I did it for our culture.
It started with some customers standing on furniture and twerking. Music played inside True Kitchen plus cocktails.
Now, do the hoes and the sluts, he call us hoes and sluts. I sure did.
And deal with it, nigga.
Do the hoes and sluts do this at this white man's establishment? Do you got people defending them doing that at this white man's establishment? Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. Because you had people, remember, he went viral for checking them folk about respecting his floors. He went viral for checking these out-of-line black females. I gotta call it for what it is here, ladies. It's not gender warring. We're being anatomically correct. It was the black females who saw this black man's establishment. And so when I hear about the tenderism stuff, about the unk stuff, then, okay, you talking about the unk stuff and the unk stuff. Okay, what about, forget about the uncle. What about your brothers? Because unk says ain't no issue. Weez is doing goods over his. So if you're going to be ventilated about something and you're going to be real agitated about something, I need you to keep that energy. When you have a spot that is specifically black owned, you don't have to come back with buyer's remorse talking about, oh, there's a front person. The person who owns this front and center, there is no question from the soil. Okay, everything is straight. This is where that energy needs to be. That energy that you all are expending on Walter Tendernism for Mr. Yepremian's restaurant. That energy needs to be over here. That energy needs to be right here. That demand for respect needs to be right here. Sitting up here acting like, quote, unk means something. And then what you're talking about, you're trying to talk like it's familial, and I accept that. But what I'm saying is that you don't get to pick and choose on that. You don't get to cherry pick that because something went viral. It shouldn't have to be viral for you to respect that. We got establishments that we actually own. And are you showing the same deference? And I'm talking about the folks who are online criticizing this man for saying, hey, this is our restaurant here. You don't sit up here and disrespect like this. This is not for the damn clown show. So for all the folks all the crack babies who somehow survived until adulthood, in quotations, you're supposed to be defending this man. This is the battle line you need to be defending, not Destination Smokehouse. At the Turkey Leg Hut, when the hoes in Houston came there with their same bull jive, and folks were criticizing them for what? People, at this white man's restaurant, you see his customers, you see his clientele, you see the females over there at this white man's place. See, the folks in California, no, this is white man's place. Okay, at the white man's place, he doesn't have to tell you about that. At the white man's place, oh, yeah, that's not going on. So if you don't want to sound coonish yourself, if you're going to get upset and ventilated, I remember this incident here. So if you want to have solidarity and if you want to support the soil and if you want to do that, there are plenty of avenues to be able to do that from. We already got that. That's why Keith Lee travels around like he does now. We got that already. But it doesn't help if you have that and you don't value it as much as this other place, because let's just be honest, for a bunch of folks, it doesn't have true intrinsic value if they don't see white folk running it. If white folk don't run it, if white folk don't own it, if white folk don't give you the okay on it, then all of a sudden there's a problem. It doesn't have as much value. So you're really looking for that because that's what makes you feel like you have arrived. And that's why I'm very glad to see Keith Lee. I'm very glad to see Keith because we need that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that we need. We need that. The point I was making about Keith is that we need to have our own version of the Michelin star. What? If there's a lesson for you all to take away from this incident with Destination Smokehouse and Keith Lee, the lesson to take away is not to quote unquote boycott Destination Smokehouse. That is futile behavior because that's not where power comes from. Power doesn't just come from what you say no to, it comes from what you say yes to. It is not enough to just say no. What are you saying yes to? So I want to go ahead and submit to you all, probably the first time you all have ever heard this suggestion made, that we need to have a black version of the Michelin stars, the Michelin star rating system. Now, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's really fascinating. You can go look it up. Yes, it comes from the Michelin Tire Company. But the Michelin star rating, I mean, you've had chefs who have committed suicide. You have had chefs who have killed themselves if they got their 3 stars. And if the Michelin folk came back and took one of their stars, you've had chefs who've killed themselves, man. You've had people who have died because they had a 3-star rating and then they lost one of their stars. And what I'm saying is that if you're going to do this in business, the reason why you have award shows that publicly acknowledge things is because that's part of the institutional infrastructure. That's part of the institutional infrastructure. So these are not just symbolic. Having a system where you start to rate these things and you start to give it a qualification, these are important things to have, and we don't have that. I want to point out exactly why this is important, folks. I want to be very, very clear about why this is important. This is important because I want us to realize that we have a unique heritage. We have a unique upbringing here. The whole reason why this stuff exists is because of the uniqueness of our particular lineage and our specific experience. Nobody else has this. Okay, but by definition, nobody else understands it the way we do. If you didn't get to sit in the kitchen and grandmama was sitting up there making smothered chicken and humming the hymns while she was doing it, am I talking to some folk up in here tonight? Damn! Oh, don't let me start preaching about it. Born and raised Shreveport, Louisiana. Bunch of old black women worked at restaurants and whatnot. You sit there Saturday night, Sunday night. They sitting there in the kitchen, they cooking. They got all 4 burners and the oven going. And they sitting there making smothered chicken, cornbread, greens, corn, real macaroni if they did that, because most of them did not do that. They didn't mostly do that part right there. I'm talking about they be humming. They're sitting there talking to the grandchildren. They didn't talk to you like fools either, by the way. Now that's how we grew up. That's not something we heard from somebody else. That's something that we learned sitting at the feet of those majestic old women. You want to know why we'll kill behind them? That's why, right there. So you see, that's a unique experience. Coming out of the slave fields of America, and didn't just come out of it, came out of it with genius. How is it that you're the slaves and yet everybody's coming to you and saying, damn, how'd you cook that? How'd you make that? How'd you flavor that? How did you do that? We have all of our so-called chefs from Europe, and a bunch of slaves on the plantation blew past them. How is that possible? Oh, it's possible, all right. Not just that, it's a way of life. When you say Louisiana, which is the home of our specific cuisine and cooking. No disrespect to everybody else, but look here, bow down. It is what it is. Bow down when you come to our town. No disrespect, but put that respect on the name where it belongs. When you say Louisiana, you thinking about us. When you say Louisiana cuisine and Southern cooking, you thinking about us. When you say it in Georgia, you thinking about us. Why do you think you go around America and you see all these places, all these knockoff Asian places calling themselves Louisiana kitchen, Louisiana cooking? Like, excuse me, Miss Wong? Yeah, which part of Louisiana are you from again? I'm asking for a friend. Yeah, which parish in Louisiana are you from? Because I'm from Caddo Parish. So, which parish are you from, Miss Wong? I'm asking for. I know we're sitting in Los Angeles right now. I'm asking for a friend. Oh, you thought the L.A. in California stood for Louisiana? No, ma'am. No. L.A. is Los Angeles in California. No. Yeah, I know they're both L.A., but you are L.A. We are L.A. So they are referring to a specific people. When you say Southern cuisine, you are referring to a specific people. You ain't referring to just everybody who there. You're referring to a specific group of people. And so as a result of that, that's why I believe it is incumbent on us to culturally protect that. Listen to me, folks. These other folk ain't got the taste buds that we do. They don't have the taste buds that we do. They don't have the ability to calibrate this like that. They don't have it. That's something that they got to learn from us, but they don't have the taste buds and the palate that calibrate the food in this manner. That's why the damn macaroni comes out like glue and some weird ass noodles falling apart. They don't have that historical calibration they can put to it because they didn't grow up with their grandmama in the kitchen putting it together like that. They don't know what it's like. They're trying to sit up here and reverse engineer it. This isn't something you reverse engineer. This is something you got to be taught at somebody's feet. This is something you have to take an apprenticeship in. You can't reverse engineer this and mass market it and commoditize it. Which is what they do in their system of capitalism. Then you encounter something that defies your capitalistic instincts. What we do defies that. Which is why they can't get the formula quite right. It's always off. You start telling on yourself. You make the chicken and you tell on yourself. You make the steak and you tell on yourself. You try to do the dirty rice. What? Damn! How many of y'all know about the dirty rice now? Damn! You don't want me to sit here and do this all damn day. You don't want me to do this. You don't. That's not something you can just reverse engineer. Here, take some ground beef and throw it in some rice and hope for the best. That's not the way it works. That's literally not the way it works. They try to go off and make these things. Y'all, there's a reason why these people's restaurants don't make cornbread. You want me to get down in the dirt with it? We can get down in the dirt with it. Do y'all realize, think about this for a few moments. Their restaurants don't make cornbread. They come out and throw a Hawaiian roll on the damn plate. But there are certain dishes and certain cuisines. There are certain parts of the meal that it's going to tell on you. If you're not one of us, it's going to tell on you. There are certain entrees you gonna make that if you're not one of us and you weren't taught properly how to do it, it's gonna tell on you. You can't make no cafeteria cornbread and then pass it off as from us. You can't just sit up here and make some cafeteria cornbread and cut it up into squares and throw it on the plate and here you go. That's not the way it works. It doesn't have the flavor. It doesn't have the texture. You see, we were taught by old black women and black men, but we're going to show some deference to grandma tonight. We were taught by old black women who made food that had fullness and texture and didn't require a bunch of processed stuff and a bunch of chemicals. These were women who could make cornbread out of cornmeal without a bunch of highly processed stuff going on right there. Today, you let the damn Cisco people bring the stuff to your restaurant. God knows what's in it. Most of your restaurants in America just get their stuff from Cisco. Lord knows what Cisco is putting in there to preserve it on their refrigerated trucks all the way to Olive Garden. And not everything is made by Cisco, but a lot of it is on their entrees at their restaurants. Yeah, when you talk about making mashed potatoes or potato salad, when you talk about that, these were women who did it from scratch right there in front of you. Potatoes made with potatoes, not boxed potatoes, not a box of potato flakes. Potatoes made from potatoes. When I was a child, we had to sit there and strip them things. We had to sit there and peel them. That's what the grandchildren did. If you messed around and went over there, mess around and go over there right after church, you're going to be peeling potatoes. That's what you're going to be doing. Hope you don't cut yourself. So understand something. This is an intrinsic part of our upbringing. We recognize those things. See, there's right down to there being a specific smell. There is a specific aroma that we look for from all these different things. So you see, we know when we know the instant that we have walked into a kitchen with somebody who comes from the soil, we can instantaneously smell it. Instantaneously. These folks try to make smothered chicken and the damn skin on the chicken is tough enough to put on the tread on your tires. And Paula Deen just sitting there cheesing and smiling. It's like, oh, you don't get it. You call this chicken? You call this rice? I mean, you can sit there and swing the drumsticks like a drumstick, like a musical drumstick, just beat it on the table. What is this? And they just sitting there smiling. So the moment we encounter these things, we know what it is. So we are uniquely qualified to be able to judge the quality of these particular food staples. Nobody else can really do that. So among other things, what we really need is the ability. We really need a system. If you really want to do something off of this Keith Lee thing, that's really what needs to be done. That really needs to happen. That you go to specifically these establishments, the ones owned by our people, and we need to be rating those ourselves. They need to be ranked and rated ourselves, not by everybody else, by us. Because the bottom line is they waiting on us to rubber stamp it to begin with. The whole thing about tendernism was when you saw this old black man sitting there, automatically it had credibility. That is the unspoken understanding. The unspoken understanding is that you saw an old black man there, you too old to be compromising, and when you saw him, it conveyed upon you instant credibility. That's the point of it. When I tell you all about what's our culture, what's our value, what is the cultural value that we've acquired, that's it. That's it right there. Then when you mix with it, you know, some of the mannerism and the flair and whatnot, and let me see if I got my video roll for it. I got it around here somewhere. There you go. When you mix the mannerisms and the flair with it right there, it's like y'all seen it. Y'all seen it with your uncle or your granddaddy. They sitting there at the craps table. They sitting there playing dominoes. You know when Negroes start getting loud about it. Everything is all extra. When we talk about being extra, that's what it is. It's always been that's been a staple of our culture there. In every family, everywhere you go, it's always a who gonna outdo, who gonna put on the biggest show and whatnot. Then it becomes about that. When you're talking about tendernism, you're not talking to the society. You're talking to other black folk. Man, then mine ain't tender. Mine got that tendernism. Tendernism, nigga. Tendernism. You heard me. Go watch, what was that, Coming to America, where Eddie Murphy was the four people in the barbershop? It was him and Arsenio Hall. I want to say, was that Coming to America, where he was basically everybody in the barbershop was Eddie? Yeah, what you saw Eddie doing there, that's our culture. That's our history. All of us have seen that our entire lives. That's what it is. Don't let us start competing. Don't let us start competing for energy. Don't let us start competing for a punchline. Don't let us start competing over getting that kind of attention. No matter the age, you can see when we start showing out. Because I can tell you, as a person who wears glasses, they're not as an ornament, as a person who wears glasses, if I'm eating, the last damn thing I'm going to do is throw my glasses down. It's like, how can I eat? I can't even see it anymore. So, yeah, I would never throw my glasses down to the restaurant because I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I might not find it. I might not find my fork again after this. I can take my glasses off, but I can't just throw them down. I might not be able to see what I'm going to eat. But that's a whole part of it. When we talk about slapping your mama from Louisiana, we say it tastes so good, you slap your mama. It tastes so good, you'll be eating without your glasses. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. This will be interesting. I guess I'll be finger fooding through this because no way in the hell I'm going to find my fork. So I want you to understand that going forward, here's the lesson I want you to take from this. Mr. Your Premium is running his restaurant. He's doing his thing. I don't begrudge him that. He had an employee at the restaurant that he saw. He made a suggestion. You can like it or not. Oh, why ain't they got a black restaurant for that? Once again, hey, I got to tell you, folks, we can't keep leaning on that as an excuse. We can't do that. Because then you end up in situations like this right here. You end up in situations like this where you're complaining because you thought that this restaurant had cultural heritage to it. You feel bad and you feel, quote, betrayed because you thought this restaurant had cultural heritage because of the front person that you saw. And what I'm saying is, but we do got spots that have cultural heritage. And we need to be the ones, we can't sit up here and value it simply because you feel like a white man might have clowned you for that. That's not sensible. You don't do it like that. We need to value what we got. You want to show out for something? You got black barbecue spots all over Texas, Mississippi. We got black barbecue spots. Why don't you value that? If you really want to do that, okay, they're not marketing it well. Everybody doesn't market it well necessarily. Keith Lee doesn't show up to every place that's like Destination Smokehouse. Everybody doesn't have that. Then again, everybody doesn't necessarily need that. But what it does require is value. So I hope that there's a lesson that was taken from this. And I hope the lesson you take from this is we need to start valuing these things beyond just the establishment, beyond just the food. We need to value this as a culture. We can't just wait for somebody to go viral. We need to value this as a culture. That's what we need to do. However, some of you might disagree, but then again, I don't want you to just disagree. I want y'all to go ahead and call me up. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I am going to do. I'm going to open up the Zoom tonight. And by the way, my mods have not been doing the pipe as usual. What? Okay, they're doing their thing about the not advertising, but tonight I'm going to waive that just this once, but not the way you might think. If you're unhappy about Destination Smokehouse, I want to open up the Zoom for y'all right quick. I want to open up the Zoom, and I'm going to invite you all to give me a call tonight. The solution to this is not to complain about what somebody else got. The solution is to highlight what we got, and that's got to be we. We have to value it. If these are things that actually matter to you and actually have value, well, then damn it, we need to value it. So I'm going to open up the Zoom here in a moment. And if we really got it, I don't know. We're about to find out. If we really got it, I want you to give me a call up. If it's a place that you have personally been to, you personally certify, and it's actually owned by our people, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go ahead and give us a call up here. That's the way that you deal with this. The way you deal with it is not about begrudging Mr. Ukrainian about what he got. And here's the other thing. All of us don't need to open up a restaurant. I mean, that's nice and wonderful and things, but all of us don't need to do that. We don't all need to open up a restaurant. What you need to do is be geeked out about the ones you got. You need to be geeked out about that. You see, when you got somebody like True Kitchen in Dallas, when you got somebody who opens up and does right, and you finally have a place that's got nice floors and it fits the ambiance of downtown Dallas and it's worthy of that, you're supposed to show your appreciation for that and your esteem for that. Somebody already got one. Okay, y'all supposed to rally behind that. If they treat their customers right, the food is good, good customer service, you rally behind that. So I'm saying we don't all have to open up a restaurant. No, it's okay for you to go ahead and support the ones that do. If they're doing right and this is the spot, okay, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be. And I don't like the phrase, quote, support black-owned businesses. I'm not really a fan of that. I'm a fan of supporting a good business if it's black-owned. A business is not a charity. Salvation Army is a charity. A business is supposed to be out competing its competition. You're supposed to have an edge on your competition. You're supposed to be doing something better than your competition. That's what a business is supposed to do. So, of course, yes, I do want you to patronize them. I understand what support means. I do have a slight issue with that one because I don't want it to be like it's a charity and you have an obligation because they're black. What I'm saying is that when they meet the standard, when they do meet the standard, you need to show this tendernism, showing out energy for them. We got black businesses that are meeting the standard, and you need to show this showing out energy needs to be shown for them. And they shouldn't have to go viral about it, by the way. They shouldn't have to. Maybe you see something they don't see. However, you might disagree. Therefore, I've gone ahead and posted the Zoom in the chat room there. And I want y'all to go ahead and give me a call up. We're going to talk about the spots tonight. We're going to talk about some of the barbecue spots. The turkey leg hut is gone. Okay, what's next? Who's up next? Or I shouldn't say who's up next. Who's already there and already doing good business? Yeah, Houston is a huge food spot. Houston is huge. I want to talk about that. Houston, Atlanta, DC, California. We're going to talk about it. So I want y'all to go ahead and weigh in tonight. We're doing that Black Michelin star thing tonight. We're doing that tonight. We're going to go ahead and do that. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out to Miss Nancy King. Thank you very much for your support tonight, sister. She says every culture capitalizes off us. He made his business take off and popular. I mean, it is what it is. Shout out to Mr. Richburg. Thank you very much for your support tonight. We appreciate that. Also, shout out here to O'Brien Trucker, and to everyone who has contributed for tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you very much for your support here. We're going to take us a very brief commercial, non-commercial break here. When we come back, I'm going to go onto the Zoom. I got folks piling up on the Zoom already. We're going to talk about something that really matters here. Instead of getting ventilated about other folks here, we're going to do what we've always done. We're going to talk about what we got, because we don't discuss that enough. We don't circulate that enough. I'm going to have a conversation with you all about that when I come back from our commercial, non-commercial break. This is the Black Channel.
Knowledge on the block, got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west, bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire, innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades, future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder, smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we ripping the gains. Used to be the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And we're having a retrospective here. We're having a retrospective on the recent Keith Lee Tendernism controversy. And we're doing what we do in a different direction here. We're not sitting around moaning about it. It's like, okay, if you want to have a conversation about the fact that you feel some kind of way about who owned the place, okay, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation about that. So I want to start here tonight. I want you all to go ahead and let me know. I want you all to give me some calls about some spots that have been around, that they are certified, that people rave about it. I'm not talking about your cousin's pancake and chicken shack that he just started 3 weeks ago. I'm not talking about that. I want y'all to get up here. If you represent and you live in these cities, I want us to talk about some places that are truly Black owned and are actually certified. That's what I want us to do. Let me go ahead and open up the Zoom here. First person we're going to talk to is Dontrell. With a name like that, how could you go wrong? Hi, Dontrell. And where you calling me from?
Dontrell. Houston.
Okay, can't miss there. All right, where's the spot at?
Hold on, I'm calling from Houston. The spot is Burns Barbecue and Acres Home. They got a couple of them around Houston.
Okay, how long they been there?
They've been there. I'm 43. I don't know, about 15 years.
Okay.
They started off in Actors Homes, and then they started commercializing around the city.
All right. And how many stars on the scale of 1 to 3? How many stars would you give them?
I give them a 3. I went to Prairie View as well. So Waller County line, they have a good barbecue spot out there. They were black on. I don't know if they sold it. If they sold it off though, but they're pretty good. They have a good baked potato out there. I see a couple of people in the chat saying Les Barbecue. Les is from Houston, but his barbecue is super expensive. Like for 4 oxtails, like $100. It's super expensive. So I wouldn't like recommend that unless like you have a whole bunch of money. Unless it's you, because you have the bread.
Okay, well, I mean, is it $100 worth of taste, or is it just $100?
It's not $100 worth of taste. No, not for no 4 oxtails. I can go to the Jamaican spot and get a whole plate of oxtails for like $20.
Let's say you can get a whole ox for $50. So it's like,
I can get a whole ox for $25, depending on where I go.
Okay, well, I got to stay away from the bush meat if you can. I don't want you to get.
I don't want no bush meat.
I don't want you to get caught up. Now they might do you like the Chinese restaurant. You think you got one thing, and it's just there's a reason ain't no cats around here.
I don't want no cats, no dog, no barbecue raccoon.
Okay, well, now what's the name of the spot again, brother? You say Burns?
Burns Barbecue. Anybody in Houston, they know about it.
All right, Burns Barbecue in Houston. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, but it's got oxtails. I ain't seen one ox nowhere in the city. So how you got oxtails? I ain't seen an ox nowhere around here. We seen some chickens. We ain't seen ox one. This place is full of oxtails. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get Daryl up here on Zoom for me here right quick. Let me see if we can get Daryl up here on Zoom. And folks, make sure you're staying by your phones here tonight. I'm not going to do the usual latency on it. All right, Daryl, where you calling me from again? Where you at again?
Chicago.
Okay, Chicago. Oh, man. Okay, here we go, Chi-Town. All right, what's the spot?
The spot is 2 spots, Jason. One is Luna's, and they've been in existence since I've been a little kid.
Okay, what's that name again? You say Lumens or Loomis?
Luna's.
Luna. Okay, like yeah. Luna?
Yes, Luna.
All right. And where is it at?
That's right off in the Roseland area in Chicago.
Okay, the Roseland area. For folks who ain't from Chicago, is there a thoroughfare it's off of?
It's not. It's not even close to the Dan Ryan. It's more inner city. So you got to go off of Halstead, and you go straight down Halstead, and you go down 90. I think it's 95th. You go straight in, and just turn right, and you go right over there.
Okay. We got Luna's. Where else?
Also, I travel. So Sylvia's restaurant there in New York City in Manhattan, in Harlem.
Oh yeah, like I say, I mean, you got to make the pilgrimage to Sylvia. So if you go to New York, you gotta go at least, assuming you can wait long enough. It depends on when you go, because you might just find yourself not able to get in. So if you can get in, you make the pilgrimage to Luna's if you can.
Yes, both of those, you got lines. I mean, Luna's got a line right now, tonight. They probably close at about 11. Maybe
now
12.
Is that off like South Halstead, like on the south side of Halstead?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because Negroes will be skittish about that. They'll be like, "Oh, I mean, he sent us to the south side with Sean Handy. Sean Handy said we're gonna get carjacked if we go down there. I can't go to the south side. I might get carjacked."
Well, that area is. Let's put it this way: it's decent over there. You won't get carjacked.
Okay, everybody, drive your Toyota Tercel over there. Don't bring your Escalade.
Escalade.
Yeah, leave your Bentley at home. For those of you who got your Bentley and your Rolls Royce, leave that at home. Just take your 86 Toyota Corolla.
Now, the only bad part about Sylvia's is the parking. It's bad.
It's New York. There ain't no parking, dude. What you talking about? New York don't have parking.
Excuse me, my mistake, Jason.
New York and parking are mutually exclusive. There ain't no parking in New York. Just get your ass out and walk. You gonna park your car around the corner at them brownstones and hot foot it the rest of the way. That's what you gonna be doing.
There you go. You're gonna have to park 2 or 3 blocks away, probably even longer to get.
Or
get
pay
right
the
on.
$60 at one of them lots if you can get one, and you'll be walking about 4 or 5 blocks. So
The lots are packed.
oh yeah,
The lots are packed.
Yeah,
The lots are packed. You know that.
Get
Jason.
there, get there early. You might get lucky. It depends on when you go. You might get lucky, especially since they started clearing out the illegals.
Yeah.
So it's easy. It's a little bit easier to park now than
It's still crowded. It's still crowded.
Oh no,
it's still crowded.
I came up 95. It was good for me. So I came through there like 10 in the morning. I thought it was going to be gridlock. I'm like, oh, we moving kind of smooth. All it took was a couple 100,000 deportations, and New York's starting to free up now. We got a couple 100,000 y'all up out of here.
Yes, sir.
We got seating at Giant Stadium now. You can go watch them lose, and you can get to Yankee Stadium real good now. So we got a couple 100,000 of them up out of here.
Yes, you can.
We can move like we need to move now. So
yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Stepping in the right direction.
And it's another restaurant right off of Cottage Grove called Curtis's. They've been in existence. This has been a family-owned restaurant and business barbecue pit. They've been there for more than 50 years. And it's real easy, right off of Cottage Grove.
Well, they're there, but how's the food though, brother?
Food is excellent.
Okay.
Excellent there. That's like three generations, almost 4 generations. It's family-owned business. And they've been there a long time.
All right.
That's another one.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. We appreciate that. So y'all got some of the spots up there in off Halstead. Go ahead and go check them out. Drive your Kia Spectra when you go this time. Drive your Kia Spectra this time. You might be tempted. I'm gonna get sued and booted. No. Just take your Hyundai Sonata. All right, let me go ahead and jump over here and get Brother Dijon up here on my Zoom for me here. Let me see if we can get Brother Dijon up here on Zoom right quick. All right, Brother Dijon, what's on your mind?
Yes, sir. So I'm really doing it for the truckers. It got me passing through Houston right now, and I had a spot down there called Cajun Taste 504 I had yesterday, and it's pretty good. Black-owned spot.
Okay, now what's the name of it again?
Cajun Taste 504.
Okay, Cajun Taste 504 in Houston.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's some of the folk who may have left during Katrina. We had a bunch of black folk who left, and they took Interstate 10 either west or east. So a bunch of them ended up in Houston, and another bunch of them ended up in Atlanta. So the food game has really stepped up in those places as a result of that. So that was one useful thing. They got there and got ambitious and industrious, and it's worked out for a lot of them, actually.
He's from New Orleans, for his say on his page. So.
That's the New Orleans area code. So one of them anyway. But that's good. Any others?
No, that's all I know right now. This is just like I said for the truckers that's passing through Houston.
Okay, was the food any good?
Oh yeah, and the portions was ridiculous. It was so much.
Yeah,
food.
you can see why them gals in Louisiana are so big now. Yeah, boy. It's just when your plate's ready, they don't call your name. They just hit the foghorn. It's like, okay, look here, high cholesterol incoming. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to lie about it. We got great food and terrible cholesterol levels. So they kind of go hand in hand. Great taste and bad blood panel work. All right, let's see if we can get HMD Global here. Let me see if we can get them. I hope I ain't saying too much. So, some fellas, some people out with a side chick. If I say too much of their name on here, hey, Jason, you blowing my cover. Huh? My wife didn't know I was out here. She think I'm at work. Okay, HMD Global. Okay, you must have stepped away or something here. You're going to find yourself without a chair when the music stops. We can't wait around all night for you. Okay, HMD Global has apparently been abducted. Let's see if we can get D Will Do It. All right, D Will Do It. Where are you calling me from?
How's it going? I'm calling you out of Dallas, Texas. We got a spot down here. It's actually pretty out of the way. It's in Lancaster.
Oh, man.
But if you're coming out from Houston, it's just a short, stop or whatever. But it's called Hug Barbecue.
How do you spell that?
So it's HUG.
Okay, Hugs Barbecue. HUG, like I need a hug.
Exactly.
Okay, and how good's the food?
I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Oh man, they struggling, brother. Now, what's going on now?
Let me see.
Okay, it sounds like it wasn't so great there, brother. So it's just that's good, but it ain't great.
Yeah, I can't say great, but it's a family-owned spot, so it was good.
Okay, well, we'll keep that in mind. If you want good but not great, there's Hugs. So Hugs is still working on getting great. Hugs is still working on getting great there. So that's gonna be an issue. All right, let me see if we can check and see if we can get Rick up here. Let's see if we can get Rick up here. All right, Rick, turn off your speakers, sir. All right, where you give me a call from, Rick?
Frisco.
Texas or California?
Frisco, Texas.
Okay,
Texas.
there you go. We gotta let folks know it's either Frisco or Texas. So, all right, Frisco, Texas. All right, brother, where's the spot at?
It's a place called Fred Downtown Philly Cheesesteak. He's got multiple locations, but his main location is in Plano. I mean, it's like out there. I haven't been to Philly, but it's the closest. It's the best cheesesteak I ever had. I mean, he actually has like about 4 locations in the Metroplex. I think he might have more. He had some, but they were trying to go off menu when he tried to expand, so he had to let them go. But yeah, if you want a good cheesesteak, authentic, it's off of 15th Street and Custard in Plano.
Okay, and you said it's black owned.
Yeah, it's black owned.
Is he originally from Philadelphia, the Northeast, or is he just originally from Texas?
He's originally from Philadelphia.
Okay.
But he set it up. He has all his memorabilia of Philadelphia in his location. I've met his wife, his daughter. I mean, he's been doing it for years. He used to have a spot right there by that DoubleTree Hotel. But the owner sold him out and took the Starbucks money and made him have to move and have to restart all over again. I mean, back in 2000. But he didn't let it stop him. But yeah, Fred, if you want a good Philly cheesesteak, and I mean, I can't really eat nobody else's besides his because it's just that good. It's like I almost feel disappointed unless I'm in Philly, obviously. But yeah.
All right. Well, if y'all are in Dallas and you want a Philly cheesesteak without having to go to Philadelphia.
Yeah. Fred's Downtown Philly Cheesesteak. And he's got about 4 different locations. His main one is off of 15th Street. He's got another one in Allen, right off of Bethany.
Oh man. Okay. If the traffic don't grab you up in Allen, if it doesn't grab you, because Allen used to be the sticks, it ain't anymore. So it's a bunch of 2-lane streets that are clogged up because of Plano. So if you go early. Don't do it in the afternoon. If you go to Allen, go early.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. We appreciate that. Folks, this is why I don't listen to some pole mouth nigga sitting up here trying to tell me about what we don't have and we need our own business, our own restaurants. We do have them. We have them. We've been had them. The real issue is you have to get over that psychological stumbling block where you're like, wait a minute now, do y'all got any white women's there? What? Damn! So let's just be honest. For some of you, that's the real stumbling block. Wait a minute now. Let me see. Is there any Latinas up in here? I don't know if this is going to be the spot I want to be at. Let me see right here. Is there any white Instagram models up in here? So some of you, that's a bit of a stumbling block for you there. All right, let's see if we can try HMD one more time. If we can't get him this time, we're going to have to let him go for the night here since we cannot just sit around forever about this. So HMD, I can give you 5 more seconds here, then we're going to have to move on. HMD, I can give you 3 more seconds here. Please make sure you have your camera and microphone turned on for me here. So HMD is in the room, but I don't know. I guess he's being held hostage or he's butt dialing or something. Okay, HMD, sorry. You had your opportunity here. Your Zimbabwe broadband got you ripped out the game. Let me see if we can get Jonathan up here on Zoom for me right quick. All right, Jonathan, where are you calling me from?
From LA.
All right. And what's the spot in LA?
We got Doolins on Manchester and La Brea.
Oh, man. Okay. I must have zoomed by that about 90 miles an hour. Okay. Yeah, you know how it is on La Brea. What now? How you spell it again?
Doolins, DULAN''S.
All right.
Yeah.
It's on Manchester and La Brea. Where else?
Ooh, we have Earl's Grill on Crenshaw and 39th, right next to the district.
Earl's Grill. You can't go wrong there.
You can't go wrong there. They got the fire hot dogs. They got some cheese fries that's fire. All kind of stuff,
Dude.
Yes, sir.
I mean, if you name Harold, Earl, how can you go wrong? How can you go wrong, brother? Look at you.
You already know.
You can't. The only way you can mess up is if you go back to your cooking. That's the only way it can go bad.
Me.
That is it. That is it.
Right.
How long have they been there?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, since I've been born, I've always seen them. I have to really do specific research on if you don't mind giving me a second here. Let's see. Earls, if I may. But yeah, they've been there for, let's see. Crenshaw.
Okay, those are all the places right there. Crenshaw, La Brea.
Crenshaw, La Brea, yep. And they also have Harold and Bell's. I'm not sure if that's black owned, but I think it is. I gotta do a little more, research on that. But that's on Jefferson and what street is that? I'll get back to you with that one. But then Harold and Bell's is another one. Let's see. Oh, for 30 years. Okay, so the Earl's Grill's been on Crenshaw for 30 years.
So I don't want to hear folk talk about what we ain't got.
That part.
You're sitting over there at Destination Smokehouse. By the way, Destination Smokehouse has barely been there 10 years. They haven't been there. They haven't been around for 10 full years yet. I'm sorry. In reality, no. Destination Smokehouse ain't been there for 5 years. Because remember, the family started it as a coffee shop by their own admission. That was a coffee shop. And then Nicholas later says, let's make it a restaurant. And so like I say, so they have not been in the cooking business like that for even a decade. And yet you got black folk been around for 30 years, longer than some of y'all been alive. So how you freaking out about Destination Smokehouse after 5 years, and meanwhile other folk been here for literally decades? That's a mental illness right there. Do you realize how much effort that takes for you to be able to miss that and skip that? That's an illness when you start doing that. That's an illness. So yeah, we got spots in places like that. What we really waiting on is a white person to tell us that this is the place to be at. Then for some folks, that's what lights their fire for them. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't go that way for me.
That part.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. We appreciate that. I mean, we could be here for hours and hours about this, folks. We could be here for hours and hours about that. I would have thought somebody from Atlanta would have called in. Atlanta is trying to get its food game together. It's trying to. It's hit or miss. It just depends on what it is. And the other thing is, by the way, don't get taken in by television. I'm a person who understands that the stuff that is, quote, the most popular, in reality, that's not always where you find the best food at, in reality. People who got a big kitchen with a lot of pots and pans and a lot of cooks, there's no way in the hell that you don't lose quality under those circumstances. The bigger the establishment, the bigger the chain, automatically you're going to have a loss in quality. Somebody might have had the right recipe when they started, but this idea that you can just hand it to any old body else and they're going to be able to do it the same, that's the whole point I was making at the beginning. That's not really the way that works. So a lot of these small spots and whatnot like that, that's really where the lick is. The issue with that, of course, is maybe it's not as big and glamorous and, it's not necessarily big, and Gordon Ramsay isn't going to come through the front door. But then again, Gordon Ramsay was a big proponent of small places. Gordon Ramsay was a big proponent of that. So that matters. Okay, Black Powder Podcast says, shout out to Atlanta Fish House and Grill on Campbellton Road. Okay. Every time I go through Atlanta there, I usually go buzzing by Campbellton. So you'd think it's black owned. Now, there's the thing right there, folks. I don't want you saying names if you haven't confirmed it. If you have not confirmed that they are, this is not your time to jump up and get attention. You need to make sure it's certified. We don't need to have false flagging. We need to have clear lines of communication. So let's not say any names unless you're supposed to be one certifying it. Don't just make general suggestions. If you're not sure about it, this is how you end up getting false flagged and took. So make sure you are clear yourself before you say a name. Don't throw a name out there and you can't vouch for it. Because if you're saying the name, we're assuming you're going to vouch for it. All right, we got iPhone up here. Let me see. iPhone, what's your name?
This is Shaq out of Dallas, Texas, DFW area.
All right, Shaq out of DFW. Where's the spot at, brother?
Bam's Vegan, man. If y'all like down with the vegan options, this is great vegan soul food. Bam's Vegan. They've been in business since 2018. Black owned. I think the brother name is Brandon Walker. Is out of Dallas, off of Regal Row. I think there will be 35, maybe in Regal Row. I think 35 is the closest highway. 35 Empire, something like that.
All right, we got a vegan spot. So if you fellas are looking for, the sexy chicks with a weed habit, what? All right, that'll be certified for us. So,
but they got a good nacho though. They got a good nacho though. Nacho, and they got the barbecue barbecue jackfruit sliders, and they got the Rasta pasta, and the fresh pressed.
Oh man, they got the whole nine. Yeah, if y'all are looking for the undercover freaks with their glasses on and whatnot, this is the vegan spot is the place to go for the undercover freaks with their weed habits and their freakiness. A vegan spot is the place to camp out.
But let me add this too. It's a grab and go though spot. They used to have the brick and mortar, but after 4 or 5, it's a grab and go. So a lot of these restaurants here in Dallas, at certain spots, like these.
That busts the hustle.
Yeah, it's a grab and goes because of I don't know if they're trying to
we thought we found the kick it spot for the freaks. Now it's like, oh, you gotta grab and go. Damn, now you have to loiter. You have to loiter at the curbside now, so you can't.
Yeah, it's curbside because it's in a business district now, man.
Yeah, so you gotta loiter at the curbside. Damn. Okay, well.
All right, peace, man.
Challenges. We shall overcome. All right. Thank you very much. Give us a call tonight. Yeah, I'm sorry. Y'all thought I was going to make it easy for you fellas. We hit a glitch right there. The man don't want folks hanging around because when he say, okay, if I just get rid of the chairs, y'all will stop sitting up here chasing all these little hussies up here. All right. Let's go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom. Let's see if we can grab Tiffany right quick. There you go, Tiffany. Unmute yourself.
Hey, Jason.
All right, baby. Where's the spot at? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Baltimore.
Oh, boy. This is either going to go real well or real bad. I'm not sure which one it is. We're about to find out the hard way.
I'm calling because if anybody is looking to set up shop, Baltimore is open for business. It's a lot of property real estate that has, made itself available with people leaving. And I think the biggest thing is that we have to also learn a business as well as expanding business and having a business mind. But I also feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as a business owner, sometimes having the ideas or products and things that we want to expand upon, having the fear or fearful that someone is going to, take our ideas, that's been one of the things for me that's held me back in trying to find who I can trust. And so.
Okay, well, what I will tell you is that's never an excuse for doing or not doing anything. The idea that you could be copycatted. There's a reason why you don't just rely on one thing. So that's where branding comes into it. If all you do is make hamburgers, you're just a place that makes hamburgers. McDonald's became an icon because they don't sell hamburgers, they sell time.
Right.
That's what made them famous. They're not selling burgers, they're selling time. You're going to be in and out of here in 2 minutes. That's what they're selling. Flavor and stuff was always secondary to that. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily where you start. The other thing is, by the way, that's why you protect these things. If you have a recipe, to this day, remember, KFC has never disclosed what the actual recipe is for their chicken. Coca-Cola has never disclosed the recipe for Coca-Cola. These are all well-kept secrets, and here's the tragedy. It's not really a secret. The truth is, everybody actually knows what it is. So these things are already out there. So Coca-Cola, its intellectual property isn't the formula. It can't be. As I told you, we already know how to make. Hell, there's a guy on YouTube. Any chemist can break down Coca-Cola and tell you what's in it and the proportions.
Yeah.
Any food chemist can break it down and tell you, oh, this is how you make this. So that can't be what Coca-Cola is selling. Not anymore. Yeah, it's got a specific taste to it and stuff, but you get my point. That's not what they're selling. They're selling, always and good times and feelings and stuff like that. So that's when folks come to your restaurant with it, that's what the decor is for. That's what the atmosphere is for. That's what the personality of the people selling it is for. You see, those are all the things that have nothing to do with the product and everything to do with it. When we talk about Sylvia's, there's a reason why we talk about Sylvia's, because we're talking about Sylvia. When you talk about Emerald's, there's a reason we talk about Emerald's, because we're talking about Emerald. So if you remove him from the restaurant, you just got another restaurant, no matter how great the food is. So things like that. That's why putting garnish on dishes, garnish does not add to the taste of anything. Why do they do that? So the edge, baby, is in the details. The edge is in the details of those things. That's why you don't discount that. Those are things that other people can't just copy and replicate. Because you're all doing a commodity, really. You making chicken, they making chicken. You making rice, they're making rice. There's not 80 different ways to do it. There's really only 2 or 3. I mean, there's not 1,000. So that it's not that you're not competing on that one. That's not the part you're competing on. You're competing on that and everything you group with it. So when you have the total package, that's what gives you the product that you're selling.
Good point.
So don't ever be afraid of, quote, people stealing your ideas. Your job is to innovate faster than they can imitate. Your job is to be original. It's like, okay, you got something that can't just be imitated. Even with Tendernism, he's sitting up here showing this stuff. Oh, it's falling off the bone. Then Keith Lee is like, hey, they cut this like Jeffrey Dahmer. They sliced this thing up like the Manson family. The meat wasn't ever on the bone to begin with. It's like, okay, Keith done blew up the spot now. He done blew their cover. And what I'm telling you is, okay, do you see that? Do you see it now? It's like they selling you meat falling off the bone. It's like, of course it fell off the bone. It wasn't even there. So they get it. They get it. Now you can go do the same thing, by the way. You can go, baby, you can go grab you some ribs and cut the damn meat and show yourself on TikTok with it falling off. I just don't know if you're going to sell as good as they did.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing they did. I bet you're not going to sell as well. And you already know, yeah, I could do that, but I'm not going to get the same outcome. Well, why not? Well, because it's about more than that. I don't have Walter Johnson and everything that came. Oh, okay. So stealing the person's idea, that's not really going to help you in and of itself. Right. Oh, okay. See, that's the thing about the Asian spots. The Asian spots don't really blow up like that because, no offense to them, but they tend to be a more alliterative people in that regard. So they grab something and put a spin on it, which there's a place in this world for that. Don't get me wrong. But as far as having something original that starts from that, if you've been to one Chinese restaurant, you've been to all of them. You've been to one Japanese restaurant, you've kind of been to all of them. And there's where it tends to run together like that. Mm-hmm. So that's the other end of the spectrum. You got an idea. Okay, they can steal your idea. Okay, now you're all the same.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you for taking my call, Jason. I'm enjoying the broadcast tonight. If you're in Baltimore, Land of Kush, one that I can think from the top of my head. And Thank you. I'm tuned in.
Okay, y'all, was she shooting her shot? Damn. Oh man. I don't know. Well, did I miss that? Did I forget to pick up what she was putting down? It sounded to me like she was trying to shoot her little shot over there is what it sounded like. So hope I didn't miss anything there. Y'all let me know. Was she throwing a signal and I just missed it? Can y'all clarify for me? Can you feel me? All right, let me see if I can get E up here on Zoom right quick. Somebody in the chat room said no, yes. They're like, okay, they're splitting them. It's like, Jason, no. We ain't sure about it. We got the hater talking about, no, she don't want you. All right. All right, E, unmute yourself. Microphone icon, lower left corner.
Boom, boom. What's going on, y'all?
All right, brother, where you calling from?
I'm calling from Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, boy, this will be good.
Well, I mean, I got a couple things I want to say. I want to lay something before your feet. You know, in Memphis, we got a lot of good barbecue spots, a lot of good barbecue spots. And people were naming them in the chat, A&R, Cozy Corner. Those are staples in the hood. They got exotic hours, so you know it's good when they got exotic hours because people are going to wait.
Well, so they don't open up till like 2:00.
Right.
Yeah, folks don't know about that right there. It's when they don't open until like 2:00 and they'll be open till like 1 a.m. It's just like, what's the point?
Right. And then like they, it's in the hood and it's good. White folks come in the hood during lunch. You know what I mean?
They come to the hood and they ain't buying no drugs.
Right.
It's good when they come to, it's actually at a restaurant. They ain't buying drugs. They're not looking for the meth dealers. It's not some anorexic white chick with bags on her eyes. Hey, you got a bag of smokes. So it's, the food must be good.
Right.
Okay,
right.
I'll be damned. Hey, y'all white folks, why don't y'all go ahead and stop bull jiving with the loan application so the man can build a whole restaurant? How about that one?
But look, though, it's a spot in New York I want to share. I've been eating at this spot for about 15, 16 years, and the food is the same each time. It's called Knee Grill in the Village in New York City.
How do you spell that?
Knee Grill, like Negril. Now, it's Caribbean, but I got to tell you, when you walk in, they got the pots clanking. You go to the bathroom, you walk through the kitchen to get to the bathroom. It's fire. You hear me?
Nigga.
Nigga, what?
Brother, wait, stop. Wait a minute.
You gotta walk to the kitchen.
Y'all, did he just say customers have to walk through the kitchen to the bathroom?
I'm telling y'all.
Okay, brother.
Look at the
damn a review. We need a new spot. Where else you got? Yeah, y'all avoiding it. Yeah, we gonna skip this one till the Department of Health come through and rewires the plumbing. We gonna skip this one. Nigga, build a wall. Build a hallway. What the hell?
I'm telling y'all.
We are not in St. Kitts no more. Build a wall, nigga.
Jason, now in New York they got them small, narrow buildings. So
I don't give a damn. You don't put an outhouse in the kitchen. I'll be damned. No.
Y'all crazy.
No, we are not doing this. No. Jason, the food is fantastic. Okay.
Jason, read the chat. They're saying it's fire, bro. Look in the chat. They're saying it's good.
Brother, I didn't say the food is bad. I said until the health inspector come through here and get this situation straightened out, I'll take takeout. Y'all can give me a box. Let me do that. Let me do that. I mean, imagine that. Gordon Ramsay is sitting there showing them how to cook, and then you hear the toilet flush. What? Damn! It's like, okay.
But look, man, y'all crazy. But you kind of said something with the last young lady that called. But whenever we create these things that permeate in pop culture and it takes off, I want our people to start owning these things we do as intellectual property and not just think about it, putting it on a T-shirt. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways we can own it. And I'm not talking about what I think. I've done it. There's different ways you can get into licensing and everything. I think about Michael Buffer. Let's Get Ready to Rumble. You can't say that on the radio without getting a letter from him. Only he can say that. And when I think about tendernism, I'm like, he has to keep on saying it no matter where the social media fame takes him. He has to keep on saying that because he could then file for a trademark under the right classification, and he could own that. He could own that. And so whether this white man lets him go or not, that goes with him. He takes that with him. He could be Mr. Tendernism that says it on the radio, that says it on the TV, that says it wherever he goes. And he could create from whatever he could develop from that, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an important thing, which is what I was talking to the young lady about there before, is that these things are bigger than that. Folks need to understand when it comes to tendernism. I'm glad you said this because this segues into another part of the discussion I wanted to have. This was a triumph of marketing, even though these people, I don't think, even understood it. The basic rudiments of marketing, you have a message. It needs to be, hopefully it is easily conveyed, very easily understood, so it's portable and transportable easily. And repetition. It requires repetition. Yes. Saying it once doesn't make it a catchphrase. Saying it once doesn't stick out to people. You got to do it over and over and over again to the point that they recognize the phrase when they see your face. You haven't said anything and they recognize it. That's marketing. That right there is marketing 101. And it doesn't require, in the internet age, it doesn't require a gigantic budget. It doesn't really require that. But it does require a degree of creativity. Now, where Walter Johnson comes in is that his execution of it. So it's not just having the word or the phrase, it's about how he executed it. That whole packaging was what was essential. No t-shirt required. No hardware required. That right there was a marketing campaign with no need for hard copy. So that's the element that's usually missing from what people are doing. Rap and hip hop is, once again, essential of our culture. We're constantly making slang phrases. You know, we're constantly inventing them. That's a part of our culture. It's not that we don't understand the language. We do understand the language. We're putting our unique stamp on it because we've always had that basically trademark type of mind to it. So when you hear folks talking about drip and when you hear them talking about clean and fly, we've been doing that forever. Tendernism is just the next iteration of that. So yes, from a marketing standpoint, people need to understand that the value of your product is only partly in what you make. It's in everything else that's packaging it, particularly intellectually, that gives it its perceived value. Which is what which is what branding is. Branding is not value, it's perceived value. So this is how, even though they might be selling a plate of ribs for $40, tendernism makes it worth $100 or $200. So this is value beyond the food on the plate. You've got something else. I didn't have ribs today. I had tendernism. That's not. There's nothing special about the ribs. It's about the perceived value.
Right, and this is something you've talked about. You know, there's a reason why. Well, we're talking about trademarks, but I'm gonna switch gears for a hot second and touch on the copyright. There's a reason why Walt Disney re-releases Beauty and the Beast and Dumbo, because they want to keep that image, they want to continue to keep that copyright in front of people to keep it going, because once it's gone, you lose some traction and domain, because people don't know about Dumbo now. The kids are 15. You know, when kids get older, they don't know about Dumbo from 40 years ago. So you got to keep on repeating it, like you said, keep on repeating it to keep it in the public's eye and public domain, you know. And I'm gonna say, like what she said about people stealing it. I mean, I have some intellectual property I've been doing for about 10 years. And yeah, I see people like copy it, but when you're the recipe, they can't copy it as fast as you can keep on creating. You got to keep on developing, like you said, like you told, that was great advice. You got to keep on developing that thing. They can't copy that fast enough. But the minute if you sit down long enough, you can kind of lose traction, and you can lose traction. You know, back in the day, 20 years ago, we used to say, let's get a Xerox. Well, we meant a copy. You know, we would say get a Xerox, but we meant copy. But nobody said that no more, because they've lost their the market value in actually that trademark value in what you just said.
Very important there, just beyond just the product. This is a triumph of marketing, and we need to value that. The rappers understand this intrinsically, because so that comes out of the outgrowth of the fact they weren't making money off in the music business. We got screwed out of our damn royalties so often. You had to make money in other ways. So yeah. It forced us to be, we latched on naturally. We're already naturally more creative. It forced us to step our game up that much more as a result. And yes, where the restaurant game is concerned, you know, when you talk about folks like, you know, Sweetie Pies and whatnot, some of these people may seem a little outlandish or whatever, but that's the whole point of it. You know, on Seinfeld, they talked about, who's it, the soup Nazi? I mean, what was the whole point of it? Otherwise, you're just a guy in the back making soup. Yeah. So if he's not, there's not, what's to remember about that? That's not really memorable. Okay, the soup might be fantastic, but beyond that, there's nothing really that helps you remember it. This guy's back there, I mean, acting like a total fascist over some damn soup. Are you serious? If nothing else, now you remember it. And just things like that right there. That's where a lot of us fail in that regard, is you're not running an enterprise, you're just making chicken. You're not running an enterprise, you're just making sandwiches. You know, there's an element beyond that that could really make it noteworthy, especially in the internet age where everybody's recording everything and everybody's sharing everything, which is where, you know, Destination Steakhouse took off from. Is everybody's out here looking to share things. Folk today have to think differently. You have to think, am I giving people a reason to share this? Am I giving people a reason to post this? Am I giving them a reason to pass this around? And if maybe it's not in your blood, I suggest you get somebody that is in theirs. I'm not necessarily saying, hey, bring over all the strippers so they can put in a pole and swing around to the place. I'm not saying that, but I am saying it might help.
Right.
I'll let you have the last word.
And I'm going to say, you know, again, I've been, you know, I got a couple of trademarks that went through pretty fast. I'm talking about my stuff went through in 6 months. And so if you're out there trying to trademark something, I'm going to tell you something that's very important. You can put the TM symbol on something that you have the intent on trademarking, okay? That's perfectly legal. You could put the letter TM symbol on the phrase, but you got to have a product that ties back to. Now, once you file for that trademark and it gets registered and approved by the USPTO office, then you switch to the R with the circle, which means register. But you can put the TM on stuff now and with the plans to trademark it.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Like I said, I just wanted to cover that marketing angle because that's really the point of it. Today, people, it's not enough to just be technical. You got to be creative. You got to be creative. You need to have a hook. And once again, like Destination Steakhouse, maybe the person who owns it, maybe you don't really have a mind that works that way, or you don't really see how to make that chop pop off. Maybe there's somebody else around you who does. You would be well advised to tap into that. All right, Curtis, Calvin, everybody else here who's on Zoom, just hang tight for me for a moment here. Let me see if I can get, I got another iPhone up here on here, so whoever it is on iPhone here, I can give you 5 seconds, and then we're going to have to go ahead and move on. Make sure you have your camera and microphone turned on for me here. iPhone, I can give you 3 more seconds, and we got to move on. There you go. All right, what's your name?
My name is Trishay.
Hello, Trishay. Where you calling me from?
So I'm from Seattle, but I just moved here from Sacramento. And so basically there's just a restaurant in the greater Sac area, Q1227.
Okay, 21227?
Sorry, Q1227.
Q like Q-U-E or Q-U-E?
Like Q, barbecue, Q.
C-U-E or, Q-U-E?
The letter Q.
Okay,
yes.
letter Q. Okay, the letter Q.
Yes.
All right, so that is Q27?
Q1227.
Q1227. There's a mouthful. All right. When's the last time you went there?
I was going there on a monthly basis before I moved. It's in Roseville, which is north of Sacramento. And there's also one more owned by the former mayor of Sac, Kevin Johnson. It's called Fixin' Soul Kitchen, and that's in the downtown area of Sacramento.
Okay, are they any good?
They are. They have like 4.6 stars for the most part.
Okay, well, that will do it then.
Yes.
All right, ma'am. Thank you very much for checking in. We
Thank you.
appreciate that. She looked like she's getting ready to go to Disco 9000. Damn! Caught her on her way out the door. All right, let's go see if we can get Curtis up here on Zoom for me here. Let me get Curtis up here. All right, Curtis, where you calling me from? Unmute yourself, sir. Lower left-hand corner.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, sir. I'm calling from Boston.
All right, this is going to go either really well or really badly. So, all right, what Boston got?
Okay. We've heard a lot of savory. I want to add to that with Park 54 in Hyde Park, the Hyde Park neighborhood of Boston off of River Street.
Okay, now let me check on a couple of things here. Now, are these black-owned establishments?
Foundationally black owned.
Okay,
This
very,
is
very
what
important.
I got. Yeah, very much important. Yes, sir. There are a number of air quote black establishments in Boston, but we do have to understand that a lot of them are from the Caribbean, a lot of them are from the Africa, which isn't a problem. But with speaking with our people, Park 54, like I said, that is where get you a nice fried chicken, collard green,
all the way up in Boston. I'll be damned. I might have to come up there and check it out and certify it for them. I'm like, okay, let me.
It's few and far between, but yeah, that's one of the places. There's also the one that was started by not Russell Wilson, Lord have mercy, Bill Russell, when he was a Celtic, Slade's. That's not the second one that I was mentioning, but Park 54 is one of the newer ones. Slates have changed, and so I don't know, if that's foundational black any longer. Oh, I had that one. Last person that I knew that owned it was foundationally black American, but I believe sold it.
Okay.
But I also wanted to give a shout out to a bakery, foundationally black sister out of California that makes cupcakes, cupcake therapy. She has 2 stores, I believe one opening up on Atlantic Ave and Cross Street, as well as the one in Brookline, which is a town right next to Boston, on Washington Street, where she makes a peach cobbler cupcake that tastes like it's the Georgia-South Carolina border. If we're doing Michelin stars, if we're doing the foundationally black stars, it's 3 stars. And she made it in additional and diabetic friendly. She has a lot of what do you call allergy friendly. So if you're allergic to eggs, if you're allergic to gluten,
damn that! Bring your insulin needles with you there. Just get the real stuff and bring your insulin needles, dudes. That's what y'all gonna do. Everybody, when you go to cupcake therapy, just bring your insulin needles with you so you ain't got to compromise.
We have a number of hospitals in the area, so you don't have to worry about getting to one quick.
That's
just
right.
Dial 111 when you're ordering and have at it.
Yeah, just go there at 10 o'clock in the morning so you don't have to wait behind the illegals. The illegals usually clog up the ER after 2 p.m. So if you go about 10 in the morning, you'll be all right before the diabetic coma sets in. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Yeah, just go about 10 o'clock in the morning, take your insulin needle with you here. If things go bad, it's like, okay, I can make it in. They can wheel me in before 2 p.m. because that's when you're taking your life in your hands. Other than that, you'll be okay. You'll make it. All right, let's see if we can get Calvin up here on Zoom from right quick. Okay, Calvin, where you calling me from?
What's happening, big bro? I'm calling you from Washington, D.C.
Okay, this is going to go either really well or really bad. The Florida Grill, trash. Oh, back in the day, it probably was cracking, but I'm telling y'all right now, Florida Grill, trash. All right, brother, what you got?
I got a few spots.
Oh, he's at a few.
I got Carolina Kitchen. For me personally, I like the fried fish there. I like the salmon.
I think I've been there. I've traveled so many places. I think I've been there though.
They got a spot where they had a spot over on Rhode Island. They closed that one, but now they got one out in Maryland right now.
Okay.
Another good restaurant. It's a little low key spot. It's called Legacy Restaurant. It's out in Fort Washington, Maryland. Like right off of Swan Creek, right off of 210 and all that. And it's pretty good. I like their crab egg rolls, I guess you could say, or spring rolls or something like that. The crab rolls. I also like the salmon steak and cheese. So Another one's Today's Pizza. Today's Pizza, they got a lot of like grown man pizza. They got oxtail on the pizza. They got shrimp and salmon on pizza. You know, they doing stuff like that.
Pineapple and steak.
Pretty much, you know, they going big with it. And they also halal for people who are, you know, Muslim. They care about that. Miss Toya's pretty good. I just got hip to her just maybe like a few months ago. I like the salmon bites. I'm always say something that's seafood related because I'm a pescatarian, just so y'all know. So I'm not gonna mention like beef and chicken, but all these spots got that too, of course.
Okay, we'll find you a nice vegan chick. We'll go ahead.
Speaking of vegan,
oh Lord,
the next restaurant, Everlasting Life, that's another good black-owned restaurant that's been around for a while, and they do a lot of good community work too, along with a good vegan cuisine. Like for instance, like if you were coming in town and you wanted to do something, do an event, you know, you could easily rent the spot out. They rent to a lot of different other people who've come in town, you know, do little lectures, things of the sort. So yeah, Everlasting Life, and that one's like in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Henry's Soul Food Cafe, I gotta mention them, but I haven't been to them, and I plan on going to them soon. They got a few.
Okay,
locations.
well, if you can't vouch for them, don't mention them. There's a very important, because this is not the support black business thing. We have to be very discriminating, because mediocrity doesn't help us. We have to have a very hard line. That's something I'm going to talk about here in just a moment, but we definitely got to have a hard line about that. Thank you very much for giving us a call. We appreciate that. Folks, it's very, very important here. You're not hating on them and you're not downing on them as long as you're being honest. Now, if you're just a hater, to hell with you. But we need to be very discriminating about these things. The reason why the Michelin star system exists is because it's accurate. Folks, the reason that the Michelin star system exists isn't because it's symbolic. It exists because they can put their stamp on it. So when they say that this is 3 stars, this is the best, it's the best. And that's what we need to have. Mediocrity does not serve us, because remember, since we're not dealing with the same level of resources and firepower, we usually only get one pass at a group of customers. So we got to be on our JOB every time. We have to do better. If you're going to keep pace with the white businesses that fund themselves because the system is rigged or whatever, you know, we have to be able to do that. So yes, we have to be more discriminating. We have to have a harder line. We have to grade tougher. We have to grade higher. Yes, you got to earn those 3 stars. That's not just a, well, you get a, you know, complimentary, you know, gratuity. You don't get that. We're not just giving you a gratuitous 3 stars. You have to actually be on your game. It's got to be, dude, this is the spot you got to go to. We are not hurting ourselves by insisting on excellence. That is supposed to be our stock in trade. That's supposed to be our stock in trade. We don't just give you a complimentary 3 stars. Oh, well, you black enough, or you come from our lineage, so here's your 3 stars. It's like, no, you come from our lineage, so I expect you to be excellent. I expect it to be excellent, so that's what we need to have. Not just, this place is pretty good, this place is pretty good. There's a place in this world for pretty good, but we need to be able to distinguish the excellent. That's how you make an attraction. You don't make an attraction out of pretty good. McDonald's is aight. They got restaurants everywhere. The stuff that is excellent, that's going to be a limited supply. There's only going to be a few of those. Those are worth flying to, traveling to, paying the extra cost. That's what we need to compile there, because people got us twisted. People got us twisted as if we're not already doing excellent things out here to begin with. We need to be in charge of identifying that on our terms, by our standards, our historical standards. But no, we cannot water it down or dilute it. We have an obligation to identify the excellent. All right, let's go ahead and get Kimbry up here. All right, Kimbry, Kimberly, are you putting on a show?
I'm sorry. No, I'm not putting on the show. I'm sorry. I didn't think he was gonna pick me. I'm so sorry.
No, ma'am. You look like you want me to throw some dollars.
Turn it down. Turn it down. Okay, so
ma'am, I would say, are you decent? You obviously are not. So it's just
I am decent. Okay, so
she decent enough. Okay, go ahead.
My husband actually turned me on to your page, and
hell.
I really like. His name is Slang 810 Dr. Pookie Ray Ray or whatever. But he always listens.
Wait a minute. Now you Slang's woman?
Yes, I am.
Where the hell is Slang at?
He right here talking about some FBA stuff.
Let me see Slang. Where you at, nigga? There you are, Slang. Now, now we hiding out in Chicago tonight, or Texas. Where you hiding out at tonight?
So this is all I have to say about that. I'm kind of nervous, but anyhow, I just wanted to point out that even though, okay, how can I put this? Even though I call the Tendernism guy Unc. Even though he didn't invent that, he doesn't have it patent. I just find it funny because, actually, I find it sad because I feel like in some way, and correct me if I'm wrong, that what brought it to my attention is when Keith Lee was trying to give him a tip, and then the owner was like, you should have gave everybody a tip. And the way Unc was looking down, it's almost kind of like he suffered from Stockholm syndrome. And my thing is, when it comes to, I don't know if I can cuss, but when it comes to the people from the Caucasus Mountain, people who are sun deprived, it's not uncommon for them to steal our inventions and claim it. For example, like the ironing board, a gas mask, from elevator doors to a traffic light to the cotton gin. They have a history of taking shit that don't belong to them. And I really hate that for him. And it's almost kind of like, I kind of look at it like.
Well, here's my thing, though. In this case, it wasn't taken, though.
Well, when I say, yeah, you're right. It wasn't taken.
And there's the thing, though. Usually it's not. When it comes to intellectual properties, what usually happens is we have tended to make it a practice of bartering our intellectual property in exchange for acceptance.
Right.
Let me go ahead and throw the picture back up on the screen so I can show y'all there again. When he did that interview on Willie D's thing, and he's patting old dude on the back like they next to kin. And what I'm saying is that's been a bad habit that we've had of so desperate for acceptance that when it comes to intellectual properties, we start treating like a pawn shop. Oh, well, they really want this. Well, I can finally get accepted if I just hand over my baby, if I just hand over my idea. So that's been a bad habit that older generations fell into. And as newer generations, we're trying to put that to the side. So that's what I'm saying. There's a reason why he's older. Younger folk probably wouldn't have done that.
So do you think, can you agree that that whole situation kind of reflects as a form of like social or psychological conditioning or something?
Well, it's a reminder. The value of this incident is that this is a reminder to us about the fact that people made assumptions. The first assumption was they assumed that Walter Johnson owned the place with absolutely no evidence or proof of it. They just fell in love with the character of it.
He was the face of it. He was the face of it.
They fell in love with the character of it and what they assumed from it. So that was mistake number one.
Right.
And Yepremian never hid himself. Yepremian's been there the whole time. He's all over the Instagram. He hasn't been hiding. So that was the real thing, is that folk want to have something that they feel that they own and they can identify with, and they really felt they could identify with Walter. And that was good. The issue that I have is that we shouldn't be making assumptions. We've got a lot of other things like that out there that don't even require that.
Right. I get what you're saying. I just kind of hate it for him. And I honestly think that it's going to it's gonna hurt his business, how he did him. And I just hope that we can stick together and support Unc in a way, even though he doesn't even want the support.
But I'm gonna hurt y'all's feelings here tonight right quick. What is support?
I don't know. Maybe get him a food truck or something. I mean,
Ma'am, you're assuming that he wants that.
You're right. You're right. You absolutely right.
If he came there and brought them the barbecue game, I got to explain to y'all, I've been telling y'all for years, the older generations, a lot of them, they don't want that. They're not building anything. So the first thing you saw was the potential of everything it could be. And what I'm
Right.
saying, for a lot of them, maybe they've been checked out of that. So that's
So
why
you
the
basically saying
baton,
the older generation are more
Write
for the
them-
massa, where we're for
write them off.
entrepreneurship.
write them off.
Okay.
It is not disrespect. I'm telling you all, stop wasting energy on people who had their chance, had their shot. They were your age. They saw these things. They already had these opportunities back when the dollar was worth 5 times as much as it is today. They don't have that spirit in them.
Yeah, you're right.
You do. They don't. So
Got it.
for them, their world revolves around, how do I get a job at the plant? How do I get a job at GM? How do I get a job at the tire store? So for them, that's what they want. They desire predictability.
Right.
They desire stability. You are willing to take more risks so that you can have the full potential and fruition of what it's worth. That's not the way they think. So baby, if he's the one who brought the barbecue to them, which is what they said, he was the one who brought the idea of them making barbecue to their restaurant.
Right.
Baby, if he knows to do that, he already knows all this stuff you talking about.
Right.
He already
You're right.
knows it. So I need you to stop, you all to just accept that for the older generation, they just want a peaceful death. And that's
Right.
why he's sitting there with Mr. Eupremian. I'm not going to say the white man, but he's sitting there with him and telling all the rest of y'all, calm down. It ain't no issue. Sister,
So do
take him at his word. It
Do
ain't
you
no
think the
issue.
Do you think the business will not be the same after?
Well,
the fact-
this certainly didn't help, but not because of tendernism. This didn't help because of Keith Lee. So they
no. I mean, do you think it'll be the same once Unc is just completely out of the picture, no longer cooking for the company?
That would be disastrous. I mean, because there are folks running around talking about he's not there and they don't know what they're talking about. But what I am saying is, no, I think they're going to keep him there. He's not a problem. There's no reason for him to go anywhere else. He's not a problem. He's not a threat. He's not trying to take the place over. He just wants to sit there and work the barbecue pit, baby. That's all he wants to do. He wants to work the barbecue pit. And he's got what he wants. Y'all are the ones talking about it can be bigger than the barbecue pit. He's like, let me get back to roasting this barbecue.
Right. He just want to, like you know what? You really put some perspective on it and made me look, think outside the box. Like, you absolutely damn right. Like the older generation, and he's right. He just want to cue. He want to go in the back, smoke his meat, talk his stuff, and
in the chat room, Queen Elixir said help him get a food truck so that he can get Brad to come drive it off. When you think about that for a moment, if he did have one, is he going to do this enterprising thing you thinking about, or is he going to look for the first white man he can to team up with, and here we go all over again?
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm telling you, man, if he wanted to do that, he already has enough experience and everything else
to do it.
The other thing is, if that energy that he has in those videos, I wonder if he would have the same energy if it was black owned or he was by himself. I wonder if he would ever have done that. Because a lot of the old folk, I ain't being disrespectful, y'all, this is reality. A lot of the old folk like to show out. When white folks show up, they start showing out.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see exactly what you're saying.
Because white folk love that. White folk love seeing that kind of thing. Ever since slavery, they've loved seeing that showing out thing. That's very entertaining to them. Right. And a lot of y'all have to understand, a lot of the old folk, that's been their ticket in, because you're not a threat and you're not harmless when you showing out.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it makes sense. They didn't put him in a car and he got a little money in his pocket, and so he's content. And so you make a whole lot of sense that I really wasn't. I was just looking at it from my perspective, but I just sat right here and listened to you, and now I'm looking at it through a different lens, and it makes all the sense in the world. So
that's what I'm saying. I want you all to understand what this really is. This is a reminder. Right. There's no hate. And you ain't lost anything. This is a reminder that we need to be on our game, because what you all see is a missed opportunity. That's what you all are complaining about, that this is a big missed opportunity. And I'm like, yeah, but just understand this isn't the only one. So the lesson to learn from this is that don't leave this up to one person. There's a bunch of folks out there squandering their opportunities, and there's not a white person in the room. There's a bunch of people who are not making the most of what they got. So forget tendernism. There's a bunch of other folk out here squandering what they have.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, but I do appreciate you bringing me on. It was a pleasure speaking with you and putting me on game. Okay, hon?
Well, thank you for checking in with us. We appreciate that. Slang. Okay, dude, we gonna talk. All right, we gonna talk here, yeah. I didn't even know that was slang. She's sitting on the bed and stuff, and then I'm like, okay, what the hell? And then my husband, I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. No. Don't let Jason start wilding out and then talk about my husband. You ain't gonna have niggas knocking on my door. Where you at? Get your ass out here, foundational black Torty, whatever your name is. No, don't do that. Do not have that situation. Don't. I got enough issues to deal with already. I do not need to have that kind of unforced error. All right, let me see if we can get iPhone up here on Zoom for me right quick. Let me see if we can get iPhone up here. Okay, iPhone, unmute yourself. All right, brother, what's your name?
It's Big Man.
All right, big man, where you calling from?
I'm calling from Mississippiville, California.
Oh, wow, Mississippiville, California. All right, there's a mix.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, brother, what's the spot?
All right, hey, Jason, I appreciate what you're doing. Like you said, I had no problem with Unc. I knew the whole history and everything. And he's just getting in where he's fitting in. It's a whole bunch of millionaires. We got over 1 million millionaires. They could easily open up a barbecue joint and promote it and do just exactly what the white boy did. So I don't get mad at him. Don't get mad. Unc is getting his money. Let him get his money.
I don't know what he is or is not getting. I certainly know he's getting plenty of attention. The intellectual property
He's
of
not
it.
complaining.
Yeah, I mean, the intellectual property of it, he probably could be getting significantly more potentially.
Only person that's complaining
However,
is people that's not in on his business, but he seems like he was happy, dandy, and just living his life. Everything in America is ran by the white folks.
well, by definition, I mean, certainly they have
music,
dominance in the system.
All our culture is ran by white folks and Jews and stuff. They run this. So get off his back. Let him live his life. I love him.
Well, I mean, it's not about that, brother. It's about also recognizing it's a missed opportunity. It is
Yeah, for us,
we
the ones be
have
kicking
made a
around
practice of handing off our most valuable
We the
things.
ones sell folks with mirrors and kick around diamonds and all this stuff between our toes, and then when somebody else come up on it, we get mad about it. But no, that ain't even about this. I've been following him from the beginning. I know the whole story. So y'all get off his back, man. Leave Unc alone. Unc is good in California. If y'all don't want to F with Unc, don't F with him. But he good over here. And that's all. I'm gonna leave it at that, bro.
Where are your people from, brother?
I told you I'm California via Mississippi, Georgia. Yeah.
Those dreads look interesting.
Yeah, man. I'm out here, man. I'm for my people. I love everybody. I love y'all. But we gotta, don't be hating on the black man just making it in California. It's different, bro, over here. Like you gotta get in where you fitting in. You know how it go. The Mexicans been what they done did to us over here, man. So Unc is doing great. He's doing 100 over here.
How long you live in California?
I was born and raised. I'm 55 years old.
Okay, you ever did time?
Los Angeles. I was born in California Hospital.
Okay, you ever did time?
A little bit. I ain't been to the pen, but I did some time. I don't like being locked up. So no,
I heard that.
I'm not no jailbird. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling folks to go do no crimes. Get your brain smarts up. That's all we got to do. We use our brain and come together. All we got to do is come together. If we come together, we unstoppable. We trillions of dollars. But we throw it away. We give it to Gucci. We give it to London. We give it to Man, we gotta look in the inner self, bro.
All right,
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Thank you very
I
much.
was trying to donate a little money, but Cash App wouldn't let me bless you.
No, it's cash.
I don't know,
No. The links are in the description of the video. You can see the PayPal, Venmo, or Super Chat, but the links in the description of the video. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Yeah, like I say, I mean, definitely, look, these are opportunities here. And we don't really, here's the issue. We don't get, all these opportunities all the time like that. We're economically strangled in the system. So missed opportunities hurt even more. Let me go see if we can get Chris up here on Zoom for me here right quick. Let me get Chris up here on Zoom. Okay, Chris, what's on your mind? Where you calling?
Jason.
Where you calling me from tonight?
I'm calling from San Diego.
All right, San Diego, and where's the spot at?
Okay, the spot is Bow-Legged Barbecue.
Damn, okay. Well, that's better than Tendernism. All right.
Over there off of Market in San Diego.
I wonder where that name came from. Bow-Legged Barbecue. I'm like, this better be great.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's really good. Also, you have Mississippi Bankhead over there in Paradise Hills down in San Diego. Both very good spots. I just wanted to say I've been to a Destination Barbecue, right? And I thought it was offensive, first of all. You go there, Unc is not cooking. You just said something earlier. That's what prompted me to call in. He does not cook. He doesn't do anything there. The black people, only black people that are there are the security. And the first thing I thought was, okay, why do you have security at a barbecue spot? Everybody else is Latino. They're in the back. They're the ones who are cooking. Yeah, I thought that was offensive. You know what I mean? Like black people are only that's all we're doing is security there, and that's it. So that's the first thing you see. After that, everybody else is Latino. Everybody else cooking on there is Latino. You would think that there was one guy that was there. And I was like, oh, no.
According to them,
he was
Walter,
Dominican.
According to them, Walter is the one who brought them the barbecue suggestion in the first place. So very clearly, he does know how to barbecue because they're the ones who said that he brought that part of the that idea to them that, hey, diversify into that. So he obviously, if that's to be believed, he obviously does know. And I'm showing some footage on the screen where he's working on the barbecue pit. So he obviously does know how to do something with it there. That's for certain. However, here's the real thing about it. Regardless of any of that, I don't really begrudge that part of it. The issue is that a lot of people like the videos and they wanted to believe something. And what I'm saying is that we need to stop and have a conversation about that part. Why is it so important to you that this man you saw had to own the place? Why is that so critical to you? And the reason it's critical to you is because you saw it was something special. You saw what he was doing was something special. You recognize special when you see it. And you were worried that that was not something that would be passed down. And what you found out is it's not. And what I'm saying is that, believe it or not, this is good. You don't break bad behaviors by patting folk on the back and saying, that's all right. You break bad behaviors by smashing your face in the concrete. You break bad behaviors by busting some bones and getting your face split open so that you realize this is real. And if you keep making these mistakes, there will be real consequences for making these mistakes. So that's why this is a good thing, because it's a painful reminder to a lot of folks who don't respond to anything but painful reminders that, yeah, this is the cost of unforced errors and missed opportunities. Yes, you will see other people walk off with it and they will prosper from it and they will pass it down to their heirs. Because the real thing is the benefits already been bestowed. The destination has already received their boost in their virality. They've already gotten it. So the value has already been transferred. You can't undo that. This is a lesson going forward to say, okay, first of all, stop being stupid and silly and assuming things. Know things. If you were really going to make this a sticking point about, hey, we need to support Unc's restaurant, did you ever even confirm it was his? Because we could have shut that down from the beginning and then kept it in its proper context. Folks don't want to do that because the internet's made people intellectually lazy. This is the cost of being intellectually lazy, and a reminder, you guys got to shake that off. Now, if you really are concerned about that, we got a bunch of other places in California that do conform to that emotional standard you were looking for. And what I'm saying is that if you reserve all of your emotional energy and passion for Destination Smokehouse, whether it's positive or negative, and you don't rally that at one of the businesses that we own, that's your failure right there. Not tendernism. The failure is the only thing you get excited about is if there's a white person in the equation. Can you be this excited for the stuff that's already there and knocking it out the park? Because otherwise, that's a character flaw. I'll let you have the last word.
Thank you, Jason. I just wanted to insert that. Thanks.
Thank you very much for checking in with us here. Yeah, like I say, passion is good. Heart is good. That's all great. If the issue for you is a sticking point that, hey, we want a black spot that we can get excited about, man, there's plenty of them. What's stopping you? There's plenty of them. I don't begrudge the Armenian what he got. He can do his thing. I don't begrudge him that, man. Go ahead and keep slicing up the ribs and pretending this fall off. Do your thing, man. I don't begrudge him one bit. I'm not angry. I'm not jealous. I'm not betrayed. I'm not resentful. I don't hope he goes out of business. That's none of that. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Okay, but we're supposed to do what we're supposed to do. And if the only time we can get excited is about somebody else's business, if the only time we can get outraged is about somebody else's business, that's a character flaw. We can get excited about something we own. Take that energy, if you really are sincere, take that energy, pick it up and bring it over here and start investing it there. One of the reasons why, I usually don't have conversations like this is because, people are usually not ready for prime time by the time it's ready to do that. Like it or not, Destination Smokehouse was ready for prime time. When they did go viral, they were ready to host people. They were ready to be seen. Your cousin Rollo might not be ready to be seen yet. So that's why it's like, okay, you got to prove you're ready for prime time. Once you do, okay, run with it. And it doesn't take years and years to figure it out either. It doesn't take years and years. So I do want you to understand the value in it. The value in it is you felt that this was somebody you identified with. Maybe there are some lessons here for you all to learn from. Maybe there are some lessons about our heritage and our history and that there's a value in it. That we don't have to be bashful or shy about that. Folks out here are hungry for that kind of foundational authenticity that is got something that everybody else doesn't have. The rest of these groups, you couldn't do that. No offense, Asian couldn't do that. Latino couldn't do that. Armenian couldn't do that. Arab couldn't do that. There's a heart that comes with that. Not just anybody could pull that off. So we need to value all of these aspects of our cultural heritage. Not just when it shows up at one steakhouse in California. Let me go ahead and see if we can get, I was trying to get Mr. Bolden up here, but Mr. Bolden has disappeared. And I just want to, I thought he disappeared here. His connection must be doing something crazy. Okay, Mr. Bolden, unmute yourself. Microphone emojis, lower left-hand corner. He's got earphones on. This will probably not go very well.
Yeah, it's showing me all types of. No, it's good. You can hear me?
Okay, sir, where are you calling us from?
You hear me? Okay, did anybody call from Atlanta yet?
No, nobody's called from Atlanta yet, sir.
Okay, well, I'm in Atlanta. Want to shout out the Backyard Grill on the West End. It is Black owned. They probably got about 3 cooks in the back every day, but they do their thing. They they hit the grill in the back. They got a food truck outside. I just passed by them. They packed up right now. I can never get in there, but they got everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, brother. I don't want to hear anybody talking about what we don't have. Our spots will be packed out, man. You go to Trill Burger in Houston, the line is around the damn corner. You got a bunch of spots in Atlanta that it's like that. I hate that I never got by what's crackling over there. I hate I never did that, but whenever I went, it was always a line of cars around the block, and I'm doing business when I go through Atlanta, so I can't really just sit there for 3 hours trying to get in. But we got a bunch of spots that are like that, man. Not just 1 or 2. Right. We got a bunch of them. So don't let some mealy mouth, mush mouth, dumb nigga out there tell you about what we ain't got.
Yeah, that parking lot, man, it's hard for me to get up in there, man. That parking lot is small too. It Negroes come up in there with these big old Dodge Rams and cyber trucks and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even get in the parking lot. So, and I got a place right down the street from it. I usually would want to walk there, but I'm like, man, I don't want to be walking there because it's on the West End. It's unfortunately, a whole bunch of bums and stuff out there. One of
Okay, brother, your signal's kind of breaking up on you there, but I think we got your message here. Thank you very much for checking in with us here. Yeah, y'all, Houston, Atlanta, New Orleans. We got a bunch of spots, man. We got a bunch of places, and they're doing good, and you never heard of them. Why are they not viral? Why come somebody's not out there? If you're going to dance a damn jig, at least dance it for a black restaurant.
And deal with it.
Okay, folks, if you're going to shuck and jive and twerk and go viral and whatnot, at least do it for a black-owned spot. Okay, it is what it is. At least do it for that. Don't do it in the restaurant on their damn tables. But if you're going to show out, okay, there's something to show out for. So for the white man's restaurant, you're going to show out. For the black folk, you're going to act like they don't exist. And then get online talking about what we don't have. No, you need to get out the damn house. You need to put down the joint, put down the Xbox controller, get outside, and go see some things for a change. Let's see if we can get Melissa up here on Zoom for me here right quick. All right. All right, Melissa, now where are you calling me from?
Arlene, Texas.
All right, Arlene, Texas. And what's the spot?
Waffle Den. It's owned by a veteran and his wife. They're an older couple. When I was stationed out here in 2014, they had just opened up. So they've been open for a little over 10 years now. And they have just chicken and waffles, like a breakfast menu is really good. And then there is Bobby B's. When I was out here in 2005, I think they've been open for a while, for a long time. They do soul food. There's 2 locations. There's one here in Colleen, and then there's one in Carpus Cove. And then I just recently went to, what is that? It was in October. I went to a food truck. I don't remember the lady's name, but her trailer food truck is called Food for Your Soul, LLC. And I ordered some macaroni and cheese and a sweet potato pie. She did these cornbread, sweet potato muffins that she gave to us as a courtesy. And that's one of the things my husband and I, we love going to places that have great customer service. If it's good food and your customer service sucks and it's black owned, I don't want to trash it or anything, but it's important to us. My husband's a business owner and been a business owner for almost 20 years, and customer service is everything. So those are the 3 places that I would suggest if you're in the central.
Let me address that right quick, because I'm not disputing what you're saying, but let me put this in a bit of a different context. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, customer service matters. Absolutely, it does. By the same token, some of the most in-demand restaurants you've ever been in have the snootiest people there. You're walking in the door, their noses are stuck up. If you've ever been to a French restaurant, you can't avoid it. You can't get away from it. If you've ever been to Japan, you got a bunch of places like that. Hell, if y'all want to go see it, there's a YouTuber I think named Japan Eats. That's all he does is go around checking out Japanese restaurants. A lot of them are small places and whatnot like that, and customer service is iffy at best. And we're talking about, do they even acknowledge you came in the door? They just walk over, they grunt at you, and away they go. So no, certainly you don't want to be abused about that. Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. However, I will tell you, when it comes to that right there, that's kind of subjective. So I guess it really just depends.
I agree with that. When you're going into when you go to a black-owned restaurant, you know it's a black-owned restaurant. You heard around town that it is, and they treat you lesser than the others. You know what I mean? And that's what I have noticed with some of the places here in Central Texas, that they'll treat the others a lot better than us, FBAs, or just Black people. So there's only a handful, and we definitely try to just support our businesses as much as we can when we go out to eat now. But I mean, there's some places that are really good. You go to it, and their customer service, they cater more to the other people.
I mean, well, some of them do. You always got some folk doing that right there. But by the way, I mean, you can go to any white restaurant and get the same treatment. You can go to anyone and get the same treatment. But I get your point is that, we should always make sure we take care of our people, because we get done any old kind of way everywhere else we go. So don't expect us to adopt this as ours if we're not being treated like that. So, but I also don't expect them to go above and beyond. I want them to do what they're supposed to do. They don't have to treat me like King Charles. They don't have to do any of that right there. Just be on top of your game about that, and don't do anything negative, which should not be hard to do. You greet your customers when they come in, however you would be acting if you were at a white restaurant or whatever. That's it right there. Although I'm not a big fan of saying treat me how you do the white folks. I'm not a big fan of saying that kind of stuff either, to be totally honest. I'm just like, be professional, period. I mean, I don't need to be chatted up or whatever. I don't need you to put your thong on and sit in my lap. I don't need that, but just do what you're supposed to do. And the food will take care of the rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm not there for a bunch of chit chat anyway. Okay, I came in, I take my order. Hello, how you doing? I did this right here. Okay, get the order straight. All right, at that point, let the cook do what he do. And, that's it. It's good. It's hard to mess this up. It really is.
And it is. I mean, when you go into some place and you order the food, and then you're right in the parking lot as you order the food is to go, and something's cold, and you don't take the time to just be like, oh, I'm sorry, let me go ahead and fix that for you. And you've been there a few times, and it has happened a couple of times. It's kind of like, oh, well,
Well, I mean, that's my point about why you have to why we really could use a rating system. That's the whole point about that, is that a rating system on our terms by our standards. And in that way, that's taken care of when you get there and stuff. And that's the kind of thing that makes a point. Keith Lee has had folk, make death threats and every damn thing else. Well, why? Because he's basically become a rating system of his own. And that's exactly what we need. That's what corrects people's behavior. That's what makes them take it seriously. But the other part of it is, like I say, if they don't want to get their act straight, when enough of you have said that right there, that becomes like, okay, this is actually a place to avoid.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is. Or either that, or if the food is good enough, you just take that as the cost of doing business.
Yes. So I wanted to touch on because like my husband and I, we were talking about, we don't really know like what the circumstances was. It does look funny and shady. And, he basically, yes, he did kind of get taken advantage of, but he should have peeped game on who he was working with too. And it's hard to kind of like, it's sad, and it makes me upset that sometimes the older generation, they don't see, and they take people at face value for taking care of them or whatever it may be. But it's like, dude, you're around these people, you know how they move. You've been on this earth for however long.
No, a lot of the older generation really latched on. They want acceptance. We just have to accept that they're not ignorant. What you're describing is naivete. That's not naivete, ma'am. That is not naive. They want acceptance. They've waited their whole lives for it. Sitting at the lunch counter was about acceptance, not about getting a meal. They had plenty of black restaurants. Why are you harassing these white folk? Because they want their acceptance, like a lost child looking for their daddy to finally say they love them. And we have been shaking that off, and we're not played with that. But we do ourselves no favors by living in denial of what the older generations really own. That was what they always wanted. When the dominant society saw that opening commerce to them would not be a threat because they would be more eager to finally have the floodgates open to be allowed to spend money at white businesses, that would be the end of their own. They saw this. That's why they went ahead and integrated, because they realized, oh, this is just going to be money coming to us. So there's no real reason to fight it. And that's exactly what occurred. So no, ma'am, it is not naivete. You're very humanitarian in thinking that, and very sympathetic, but no, ma'am, it is what it is. He's not being taken advantage of. He asked for this. He wants this. You have a taste for empowerment. He doesn't. So one of the most frustrating things is when you see potential in somebody else that they don't see in themselves. Y'all got to get over that. You're going to meet a bunch of them, particularly from that generation, that they're going to live and have died and never known what their real potential was. But as long as they can finally get a pat on the back, hey, Rufus we treat them like family here. That was their life's ambition. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. As I said, this is a reminder and something to learn from. That's all. Their ambition and their life's goal is to finally be accepted on white terms. Okay, he's like, I got that. What you mean I got to do more than this? I've already arrived. I've already entered the promised land. So the rest of you need to acknowledge that for what it is. And if you don't think that's enough for you, then you need to make the necessary adjustments in your life. All right, we got Roland here on Zoom. All right, Roland, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Stark, Florida, by way of Augusta, Georgia.
Okay, Stark, Florida. And what's the spot?
So I got 2 spots. I got Delicious Country Cooking. It's on West 106 Brownlee in Stark, Florida. So you probably just ride in between Jackson and town in North Florida. And then I got stuff. Actually, it's a food truck, but move Macon, Georgia.
Okay, brother, your phone's breaking up on you there. Let me put you back in the waiting room here. See if you can get by a window or hang out the window there. If you're living above the barbecue shack, you might want to lean out over the pit a little bit. And by the way, about marketing, y'all should go take a look online at some of the barbecue competitions. I remember those from years ago. You got folks who built barbecue pits out of school buses. What? Things like that. I mean, you can be creative. Okay, do you got a food truck? All right. I'm watching folks who made a barbecue pit out of a school bus, a big yellow school bus. Big old smokestack coming out of the back of it, out the top of it. So you can be more creative. Think about that for a few moments. You talking about buying a food truck. He went off and got a school bus. Let me get these damn seats up out of here. It's like, okay, that's actually pretty sharp when you think about it. So yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's like one guy did like a freight train and a locomotive. And so there's a bunch of ideas you can have. That's the kind of stuff there that can go viral. Okay, we got Devane up here on Zoom. Devane, I need you to go ahead and make sure you have your camera and microphone turned on for me here. I can give you 5 seconds to go ahead and get that straightened out. Then we got to go ahead and move on. All right, Devane, I can give you 3 seconds to go ahead and get that straightened out. And then we got to move on. All right, Devane, I can give you 1 more second to get that straightened out. And then we have to move on. All right, Devane has been abducted. Yeah, folks, I mean, there's a bunch of ideas. It's about, being creative. And maybe not about you. Go talk to your family, your friends. Go talk to your nieces and your nephews. Talk to the young people who are on TikTok, man. Go stop sitting up here avoiding the young folk in your family like you know it all. Go talk to some of your nieces and your nephews, the young people who are on social media, the young folk who are on TikTok. Ask them what their ideas are about that. Ask them if they know Mr. Tendernism. They do. All right, ask them what you can do about yours, man. You got sources of information. You got folks you can tap into. One of the bad things about the older generation is being hard-headed. They'd rather fail doing it their way than succeed doing it somebody else's. But you can make your stuff unique. You can make it noteworthy. You can make it memorable. You can do that. but you're going to have to apply yourself to it and be creative about it. It's not just about making the food. See, there's where we get in trouble is a lot of folk, they just want to do one thing. I don't want to have to market my music. I just want to be able to focus on my art. I just want to be able to focus on my songwriting. Can I get somebody else to take care of the marketing and the promotion and the publishing and the business end so I can just focus on making the music, so I can just focus on making the cornbread, so I can just focus on making the barbecue ribs, so I can just focus on making the donuts? There's where we mess up at. You just want to focus on one thing and try to make it as simplified as you can. And in the process, there's value that's going to be lost. There's value that's going to be lost there. So these things can be so much bigger and so much better. But what y'all are looking at is, hey, you saw something in real time, develop value right in front of your faces. And it's just another reminder. Need I remind folks, we've been dealing with this for decades. I'm not talking about just Jack Daniels and something from antebellum slavery or post-antebellum slavery. Anybody remember Famous Amos? What? Damn! We've been dealing with this for a minute. Famous Amos. Wally Amos wound up losing control of his own name. Famous Amos made them cookies and he ended up losing control of his own birth name. He went to court and the judge said, you can't say Famous Amos. You can't even say Wally Amos, your name. Your actual birth name. You can go make more cookies, but you can't use the name Famous Amos, and you can't say Wally Amos either. That would be confusing. The folks you were in business with, they got the trademark on it. So no, you can't do that. That would cause confusion. People, we've been here. This is not the first time this has happened to us. We've been here before. I'm talking about landmark legislation on Dred Scott levels of taking what we got. We've already been here. We're supposed to learn from the lessons of the past. We're supposed to learn from those lessons. Well, I mean, it's not really anything now because Mr. Amos is dead. But the bottom line is that we're supposed to learn from these lessons, man. We're supposed to learn from these experiences, not just keep going in circles. So it's not just the product, it's the intellectual value that comes along with it. Those are actually bundled together and then they deceive you into thinking those are two separate things. No, they're not. There's the product, is the product's execution, and then there's the product's promotion in the national consciousness. And that has value that really transcends the physical product. You have a bunch of mediocre products out there that have marvelous marketing. The iPhone is a brilliant example of that. Samsung's phones are superior to the iPhone on literally every dimension. Never mind the fact that they used to make most of the parts, or at least over a third of the parts that went in the iPhone, including the screen. But Apple took their lesser product and marketed it better, made a cult out of it, made community out of it, made a status symbol out of it, even though it is an inferior product to the Samsung. Congratulations, Samsung, your phone is superior, and Apple is the richest phone company on earth. You're not losing in technical ability. Apple understands the product comes together with its marketing. Marketing can transcend the value of the physical product you're selling. And if you've lost that or forgotten that or missed that, then you don't understand. You can make a product, but making the product desirable. Right now we have in capitalism, they're not making products people want. They make you want the products they make. How do we get you to want whatever it is that we're making? So we don't have to make a superior product. If you have better marketing, people will line up for a lesser product because they've made a different connection. So this we're talking about. These are values that transcend the physical product itself. You found a way to increase the value of the product without increasing its raw material cost. It still costs the same. You're still doing the same thing you were doing, but you found a way to increase its value without increasing the cost of production. That's where having a jingle, that's where having dancers, that's where having catchy images, that's where having a slogan comes into it. And we have always been excellent marketers. The problem is we've always done it in service to other people. And that's what resonated with people so painfully about tendernism is, wow, this was marvelous marketing. Too bad it's in service to everybody else. Okay, well, let the discomfort and the pain and of this moment be a reminder to you of what our value really is. Let this be a reminder to you that just because some of these other people from the older generation, maybe they don't value it as much, okay, that's just a reminder to you to value it. And it doesn't take decades. It didn't take decades for the turkey leg hut to pop off. It doesn't take decades. I'm not saying that you're going to get the same trajectory, the same track. What I'm telling you is what's possible. Okay, if these other folk fumbled the ball, there's an opportunity there, man, for you. There's an opportunity. And stop pretending like we ain't got spots of our own. We do. We do. It's time to value them. And we need to have a system of ranking that separates the mediocre from the excellent. So we don't have to pretend it's excellent. We need a system that separates the mediocre from the excellent. And at that point right there, you become a power unto yourself. Because you will have every other society saying, hey, this is the spot. This thing comes FBA Soul Food certified. This wasn't certified by just anybody. This was certified from the soil. This was certified from the people that have grown up with it. They put their stamp on it and said, this is the level of quality that we expect. This is the level of quality that we certify for it. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. Right there. So take this as a reminder that, by the way, we got a ways to go here and there are other avenues we can open up. There are other avenues we can open up. And hey, if Keith Lee doesn't do it, that just shows you, hey, by the way, can you? What is Keith Lee doing that other folk can't do, man? He's willing to spend the money to go travel for it. Okay, then it becomes viral. What's he doing that anybody else couldn't do? Tell me one thing that Keith Lee is doing that anybody else couldn't do. Okay. So you're going to cry about what Mr. Tendernism and Mr. Armenian are or aren't doing? Because that's not the way to go. Or are you going to do something you actually got control over if it means that much to you? If you just want to sit around and do performative outrage, if you want to sit around and have performative outrage, well, see if you can get on Broadway and try to get paid for it. Otherwise, don't talk about it, be about it. If it really means that much to you, do something about it. Do something. But don't just sit up complaining. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I could have waited on this. I could have done that, but I really wanted to have an in-depth conversation about this at this moment. I didn't really feel like it could wait. I wanted to have an in-depth conversation about this and, start naming out some spots. And usually I don't let folks advertise like that, because people will be naming their cousin Rollo and they're trying to promote somebody who doesn't have a name and whatever. It's like, okay, you got to earn the right to do that. So tonight's been a bit of an outlier in that regard. But I'm willing to go ahead and do that tonight as an example. Just as an example to people that, by the way, we got options out here, man. We got options out here, but we need to recognize that and value it ourselves. Not somebody else. We need to value it ourselves, man. And whatever other people are doing or don't do, that's whatever they do or don't do. But if you're most ventilated about what somebody else is doing with their restaurant or how they're using it, or, oh man, look at the opportunity that they made or opened up, that's what's got you motivated. It's okay. And yes, it is a reminder of what the older generation has not done. It is a reminder to you that they're not really building up anything. A lot of them are not. Okay, once again, that's not something to get outraged about. It's not something to get depressed over. If you got that energy, harness that energy. Use that energy. That's what it's for. Harness it and use it. And focus it in a direction that can actually do some good. Focus it in a direction that will actually make something positive happen. Get together with some other black folk there. And it doesn't matter where you at. If you like what they're doing and whatnot, maybe you know Instagram better. Maybe you know TikTok better. Maybe you're able to do that. So you have an opportunity, man. They have an opportunity. But on top of everything else, no matter what you do, we need to culturally mark our territory. And if nothing else, this is a brutal reminder of the cost of not culturally marking our territory. If we don't do it, somebody else will. That's the point. If we don't culturally mark what we got, if we don't value it and culturally mark it, hey, somebody else is going to. Somebody else will. And that's just it. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed toward tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to my man, Mark B. Thank you very much for your support tonight. To Wesley as well. Thank you very much for yours. To Andrew, Melvinia, and everybody else here who has contributed toward tonight's program. Thank you very much for doing so in the Super Chat. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that red subscribe button on the YouTube app. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, you can check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work at blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for joining us here on tonight's program, either live or recorded. But if you weren't here live, you know what you missed. Next time you need to be here. Thank you for joining us live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is trademarked.